get started.
Recording in progress.
All right, calling to order Historic Landmarks Commission, September 24th, 2025. Let's start with roll call.
Thank you. I'll begin with Chair Grumbine.
Present.
Vice Chair Uli.
Present.
Commissioner Butler.
Here.
Commissioner Jordan.
Here.
Commissioner Drury.
Here.
Commissioner Ensberg.
Present.
Commissioner Lenvik.
Here.
And Commissioner Lodge.
Here.
We have quorum. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We are on to public comment. So item A, public comment. Any member of the public wishing to address this commission on items that are not on our agenda today can please do so.
Thank you, Chair Grumbine. At this time, I don't have any speaker slips for general public comment, though if anyone in the room would like to speak under general, they can approach the podium at this time. And I'm not seeing any movement. We do not have any participants online with us, and we did not receive any written correspondence under general, so I'm going to give it back to you.
All right, great. Okay, on to item B, approval of the minutes of Historic Landmarks Commission, September 10th, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Drury and Vice Chair Uli. Under edits or anything else, do we have any edits or anything from anyone? All right, so not seeing any. Motion and a second. Let's have a roll call vote.
Thank you. I'll begin with Commissioner Butler.
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan.
Yes.
Commissioner Drury.
Yes.
Commissioner Ensberg.
Abstain.
Commissioner Lenvik.
Yes.
Commissioner Lodge. Vice Chair Uli.
Yes.
And Chair Grumbine.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, on to item C, approval of the minutes of Historic Landmarks Commission consent meeting for September 10th, 2025.
So moved. Second.
Commissioner Butler and Commissioner Drury, thank you. So under edits, any edits or discussion for the consent calendar? All right, not seeing any. Let's have a roll call vote.
Thank you. I'll begin with Commissioner Drury.
Yes.
Commissioner Ensberg.
Abstain.
Commissioner Lenvik.
Yes.
Commissioner Lodge.
Yes.
Commissioner Butler.
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan.
Yes.
And Vice Chair Uli.
Yes.
And Chair Grumbine.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, we are on to item D, ratification of action taken on consent calendar of September 24th, 2025.
So moved.
All right, Vice Chair Uli, is there a second?
Second.
All right, second, Commissioner Drury, thank you. All right, to staff. Summary.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We only had one item on consent today, 735 Anacapa Street, which was postponed indefinitely due to the applicant's absence. So with that, I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay. All right.
We were all here ready to work, but
Yeah, there was
nobody showed up.
Yep, no show, and there was only one, so that was, yeah.
Vice Chair was a very good sport about it.
Yeah. Thank you. All right, on to, let's see, item E, announcements requested by
You need a vote for that.
Oh, yeah, sorry. The roll call vote, yes. Thank you.
I'll begin with
Roll call vote for nothing.
I'll begin with Commissioner Lenvik.
Yes.
Commissioner Lodge. Yes. Commissioner Butler.
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan.
Yes.
Commissioner Drury.
Yes.
Commissioner Ensberg.
Yes.
Vice Chair Uli.
Yes.
And Chair Grumbine.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, now item E, announcements requests by applicants for continuances and withdrawals, future agenda items, and appeals. So to staff.
No announcements from staff at this time.
Okay, and I see an announcement on the table here. Does someone want to talk about this announcement? Yep. Yep. So City TV, could you?
This is a show by my friend John Comer opening up, I think on, what does it say, the 4th or the 2nd?
October 2nd
There you go.
through February 28th.
Of his paintings from Santa Cruz and Santa Rosa Islands. And this is advertising, but I hung the show yesterday with him, and it's a blockbuster show. The paintings are enormous and fantastic, so
Oh,
thank
great.
you.
Thank you for sharing. All right. And any other announcements, etc.? All right. Anyone have any leave times? Go past 6? All All right.
We're here for the duration.
Yeah, all right. Okay, on to item F, subcommittee reports. This, so we got signs, designations, State Street Advisory, Plaza de la Guerra, and State Street Interim Working Group. Any,
Nothing from designations.
Yes, Chair Grumbine, I can report for the interim working group has not met, but I did speak with Tess Harris this morning, and the 1200 block is proceeding. We have received some suggested plants and a layout for the 1200 block from the Botanic Garden, and we're waiting for our Commissioner McClure to return so that he can help us with the assessment of that and to come to a, an answer. So that, it is moving along, and they're hoping to be able to do the planting sometime, within the next several weeks while it's cool out. And then on the West Figueroa Paseo, that one it's also moving along slowly. We wish it would be a little faster, but it is moving along, and I did hear from Bob Cunningham, the landscape architect, who's working on the documents for that, and he said that they will have a in-progress set within the next, say, 2 weeks,
Okay,
which is great
great.
news. So we'll be meeting soon.
great.
Thank you.
Pardon my interruption, Mr. Chair, just as a small note, I did confirm with the project planner for the objective design and development standards that subcommittee is no longer in use, and so it's been removed.
So it's been removed. We're down to 5. All right, well, thank you for serving on it as well. And that was, who was serving that? Commissioner Jordan, and who else was serving on the?
I think I was on it.
Okay. Well, thank you for helping out. All right. Any other subcommittee reports?
I have a question for the State Street Interim Working Group.
Oh, yes, okay.
Was that group also involved in the 500 block, the Pedlets?
Through the chair.
Very proper.
We did not. We looked at it, and we did not really formally, opine on it, other than a couple of times when we did look at it very briefly, and Chair Grumbine can confirm, we expressed concern about it.
I think the sequence, at one point, did they come here at all?
No.
Okay. The sequence was basically that if I remember correctly, I could be wrong on this, but it was last year when this was first being considered as a temporary measure and as part of the temporary State Street stuff. And I think that they got approval to City Council to do this. And basically, we helped give direction for color based on what their selections were for the of what it came in, what the manufacturer came in. And so that was the extent of what.
Okay, I think that I would certainly suggest that all the members have a chance to go down and walk that area. Now, the Pedlets are almost all in. I think they're all in. And the restaurant and bar businesses are expanding their outside use.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we ought to look at that. In my opinion, it is not representative of Santa Barbara.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the sole thing that we would have been concerned about if we had seen it. It is not.
Could I add a comment?
So, so we don't get into discussion on it, can we actually agendize that as something to discuss? And then if everyone could make sure that, I don't know that we'll have time on the next calendar, but if we can have time, at least 20 minutes, let's say, and we'll keep our comments to that and our discussion to that. I don't think we need to go much further than that, but as a short run of discussion.
Just to clarify, this is a request for a discussion on the 500 block of State Street?
Yeah.
And the Pedlets.
And the
Pedlets.
particularly the Pedlets.
And Chair Grumbine, could I just clarify one thing about your recollection? We did look at a whole, the full spectrum of the colors of Trex. And then the staff was going to get actual samples, and then we were supposed to meet to look
That's
at
right.
them. And then at that point, it was Commissioner McClure and myself, and they were kind of bringing that up, and I said that I reported at that meeting that I didn't think it was appropriate for us to make any kind of decision about them, and that it should come to the full board, which it never did. But that was what was, we
Yeah,
said.
and then now you're saying that, I do think that was one of, and that was, I think, maybe May or April or something, and then there, yeah.
I
So-
could find that date if you
Yeah,
wanted.
we
but-
can get more info on it for next time, too, just so that we
Okay.
know what the conversation was. But as a note on it, as far as my understanding was, that was a decision that was made pre-HLC via city council.
Correct.
As part of this interim State Street stuff. And I think there was actually some furniture or something, too. Anyways, we'll get more information on it, what the sequence was, and then also have some time to at least talk about it.
Yeah, thank
Okay.
you.
Great. Okay, so with that, let's go to item 1, which we are 4 minutes early. So this is for concept review for 330 State Street. This is a revised project description located in EPV, Part 1, and the designated structure of merit. The Andalusia Building, Seaside Oil Company building, was designed in 1926 by Lionel Priest in the Spanish colonial revival style, and the tower at the corner of State and Gutierrez was designed in 1937 by Carlton Winslow and R.H. Pittman. Proposed exterior alterations, including removal of the existing parking lot to replace the plaza and outdoor dining area. New hardscape, landscape, trees, fences, gates, trash enclosure, transformer, bike enclosures, door and window alterations, new steel canopies, and new vestibule elements. Project originally received project design approval on July 21st, 2021. No final appealable action will take place at this meeting. Project compatibility findings and minor alteration findings will be required for project design approval. Okay, so with that, and then maybe you guys can introduce yourselves for the record, then we'll go to staff for comments and discussions and about the previous approval as well, and then we'll go to you and you'll have up to 15 minutes to present.
Great. Clay Orell, architect, AB Design Studio. Graham Goldich, landscape designer with Bosque Landscape Architecture.
All right, so to staff.
No announcement specific to this project. I probably should have made this announcement during general business, but as you can see, our laptop for the applicant is not working right now, so I will be running the plans for the applicant. They just need to provide me with verbal directions, and that's all. I'll turn it back over to the applicant team.
So we have a dead laptop here taking up space?
Yep.
It will be fixed, I am told.
If there was only paper plans.
Yeah, if only.
Right.
So, okay. All right, sounds good. The question I have, just for understanding, so this is for project design approval. This is a different design than was originally designed and approved. Is there any reason that we should be looking at the original design to see what we approved and what the comments were that we last made, or is this going to be all new from scratch anyways?
We can certainly bring up the previously approved plans, but you should be viewing this. This is a different applicant team, a different design, and so you should be viewing this kind of as a new project. And the comments from the project design hearing are not
Are
applicable to
applicable.
this.
Okay,
one.
so if there.
And Chair Gromine?
Yeah.
So to that, so that was in '21. I was not here then, and I did not review that. So are we?
Yeah, and so I just want to make sure that if there's other people that want to see them for any reason, that would.
But it doesn't prohibit
Yeah.
me from being
No,
involved?
no, for sure
Okay.
not.
Okay.
And this is definitely a different application, so. Okay, just want to make sure that we have it out there in case someone does want to pull up something, so. All right, go for it.
Okay, I'm going to start with just clearing up some of that
Yeah.
history because the project was owned by a previous owner and it went through the process with a shell core permit, which included site work and landscaping and all that. It was approved, it was permitted, work was started, sort of, on the inside, and then he sold the property.
Got it.
My client purchased it at the end of last year, and we've been working this year with the team to, same kind of concept in terms of use, but different approach in terms of design.
Okay, great.
That helps.
Oh, that does help, yeah.
So the old approval, what we were trying to do is do a review after final, but because our changes are significant enough, staff wanted us to submit for PLN.
Okay,
So we're hurriedly trying to get through PLN because we were intending to submit this before the end of the year.
Okay.
So we're rushing to get through this. So anything we can do to speed up the process, we will certainly be helpful.
and the reason, one reason I bring that up as a potential is that if it is helpful for people to understand, for the HLC members to remember and/or understand what we had approved, and if there are comparable things as part of your argument for why it may or may not.
It may be from a site planning perspective.
Yeah.
Be useful to look at that maybe first and just kind of set, here's where this ended or left off, and then we could go through our presentation. I wouldn't be opposed to
Okay.
doing that.
So I would at least like that for my own memory as well, because I do have some questions that might tie to that or not. Yeah.
And one other thing, Chair Grumbine, we did receive a letter or comments from Commissioner McClure,
Yes.
right?
Yep. And I think that would be appropriate to actually read, if
For our item?
for your item.
Yeah,
Once we get to our comments,
Okay.
It was-
because he reviewed it, he couldn't be here today, so he
Got it.
reviewed both items and gave us comments.
Okay.
Okay, yes, that's good, and I think that'll be also good, important, especially because he's the one landscape architect of our group.
We're looking for the site plan, so keep going. I don't know where it is in the set exactly because it's not my set of plans. Keep going.
Too bad.
Keep
mine
going.
worked.
Right here, I think. Let's see.
I think there's a landscape plan, if I remember right.
There is. Go. There. This is probably helpful.
Let me zoom in there.
I don't have a pointer, do I? I don't have any way to.
No.
I have no control.
An arm wave.
Okay, over there and over there. I'll do this starting from right to left because that's how I talk about this project a lot. So the right side building where it L's north-south,
Yeah.
that previous use was intended to be a music venue and concert, small little concert hall. The gray area under the hand was the stage, and then the rest of it was just an open area. Moving right to left, the space that has the red text in it was going to be a speakeasy. And then those other areas around them, surrounding them, are restrooms with the little circles in them. Those are restrooms there too. And then the whole left side, the whole left side of the building, the remaining part of the building was intended to be one large restaurant. Our uses are more or less the same, with the caveat that the restaurant space we've cut into a smaller restaurant and a small market. So other than that, we're not really doing a speakeasy, we're calling it a piano lounge, but it's still a bar, a bar use. And the music venue is still a music venue use. We just have flipped the stage around to the other side and done some other changes. The biggest change that we have on the project, though, is the site. And on this particular site plan, what you're looking at is a very deep patio outside the planned north face of the structure that goes out to a line of planters, if you can see that. So that line of planters is the barrier between the drive aisle with the angled parking going this direction on north side of the site plan. So it's a one-way drive coming in on the left driveway, which is by that control line, the third control line from the left. Then it comes in, angled park, there's an ADA space, and then there's a trash enclosure, and then there's bike parking, and then there's a drive aisle that goes out, back onto Gutierrez. So it just circles like that. The line of planters designates the area between the parking and then a large outdoor patio. So that was all hardscape, and it had a steel trellis and some lighting and stuff over the top of that. That all got reviewed and approved by most of you here. On the far left is the outdoor seating for the restaurant, more additional outdoor seating. There's two large trees at the corner that you can see there. There's one in a round planter on the far upper left, and then there's one big one to the right of that. Those are existing trees that are there today. They were keeping them, we intend to keep them as well. And there's 3 large, I think they're paper bark trees on the Gutierrez Street sidewalk. We're keeping those as well. Our approach to the project is very different in terms of site planning. The use of the building, doors and windows, and all that, we're making some mild changes to them, but for the most part, the uses haven't changed. Does that help?
Yep, that helps a lot.
Okay.
Perfect.
We'll go to our
Okay.
presentation and jump in. So we can go to the next page, please. So here's the building. I think the aerial building, the aerial number 3 on the middle right, you can see the L-shaped building in the parking lot. That's the existing condition. The building, you can see the white plaster where the tower is, and you see where it ends and turns into brick. That's where our site ends, our project ends. So we're the white plaster part of the project that starts on State Street and goes all the way back and L's to Gutierrez. Does that make sense? The whole building is historic, right? The whole structure, the whole property, but they're separate parcels. Our property is actually 2 separate parcels. One that holds the building and one that holds the parking lot, effectively. The tower's there. We're not doing anything with the tower. It's going to remain. We can zoom out, please. Thank you. The image in the middle, image number 4, is the facade along Gutierrez Street. And it looks like that today, pretty much. We've been working with Nicole quite a bit on trying to figure out what we can do with that facade, because we all know it needs to be improved. And the program we have right behind it is the green room, and it's kind of the loading in and out for the shows. So it's more of a utility side of the building, but it's on the street front. And so Nicole and our team have been working to try to give it some more life. We'll see that in the elevations later. Zoom out, please. You can zoom in on the top elevations in the middle, probably 8 and 7. So here's the middle of the building, if you will, the long facade. Those are all original steel windows that you're seeing. There's been some newer replacement things that have happened, especially right there under that gabled, that entrance has been set back. That's not historic material. It's sitting there today. But the windows to the right and left of it are all historic steel windows, which we intend to keep. In some areas, we're removing a window and putting in a door or something like that, just to get in and out of the building for egress and other reasons. You can zoom out, please. Next slide. Next. This is the existing condition of the existing site plan showing the current angled parking, but most of the striping is all gone at this point. Next slide, please. Here's our proposed site plan. I'm not gonna get into the site plan too much on this. I'm gonna really let Graham handle that. But the plan that we're starting with, which is why it's very different from the last go-around, is that we're removing all the parking. And we're trying to create a park-like setting on the corner of State and Gutierrez. So remove the cars, let the building flow in and out, let there be space to sit around the site and enjoy things. Similar to how Dark Garden is in the Funk Zone is our sort of inspiration for it, although it doesn't look like Dark Garden. We'll let Graham come back and give us more detail on that. So you can see, we'll point out, it's really hard to do without being able to point. In the corner of the L on the site
Can you
plan,
zoom in a little bit?
in the upper corner of the L where there's that gray area that says something square foot addition. Right? No, down where right there, that little gray area above it. So that's the entrance or the foyer for the music venue, and that's where we're doing a small addition. And next to that on the left is also a small addition to the building for the piano entry. So they're sort of like little queuing, not really queuing, but kind of control points, so that as people are coming in, they have people that are greeting them, controlling, and telling them where to go. If you slide to the left, yeah, that way, there's a small addition where that that image I showed you that had the doors that had been changed out, that has an alcove in it. We're pulling that back out. That's going to be the entrance to the market, and there'll be a little canopy above that. That's the dash line. We'll see that on the elevations. Next slide, please. I just wanted to point out those in plan. Next slide, please. Next one. If we zoom in that same area where the piano lounge is and that L, that would be great. Yeah, thanks. So there's the entry pop-out that we have on those two entry points to help control flow. We have a music venue specialist we're working with, and they've been giving us a lot of direction on these things. Zoom out, please. Next slide. Next. Okay, so can we zoom into the left side elevations? So the elevation you're seeing is the elevation that faces the driveway that pulls into REI. So currently on the on the number 3 elevation, that whole wall is plastered, but when you get to REI at that break point, it's all been removed. The plaster's been removed. So we wanted to continue that and wrap that around that building where the music venue is. So what our proposal on this elevation is simply to remove the plaster and have the exposed brick like REI is today. If we can slide to the right, this is the State Street elevation, and the changes that we're making, other than site changes, but changes to the building, have to do with the window systems that are in the loggia on the lower right-hand side. You can see the existing condition. That was done when they made the Casablanca restaurant, I think, or no, that was done a long time ago. I can't remember the date of the door change.
Yeah,
Was that 37?
some of it, and then some
then
for
some later.
Casablanca.
Right.
So, yeah, and we have the photo from before those changes that.
Yeah, I have
We
it
have
in-
the drawing,
I
yeah.
have it on the drawing set.
He's going back to something more original.
Right, so if we can zoom out and go to the next page, please. So if we zoom into the lower left image, number 3, this was the historic material that was on the building before they changed it in 1937, and then again with Casablanca. So we're kind of going back close to what was there, working with Nicole on this. We're going to do a door and 2 side lights, but it's going to be on the left panel, excuse me. And then we're going to have the single pane glass panels on the middle and the right, which you can see on elevation 2 if you slide over and up. Thank you. So that's the revision to that. So that's working with Nicole on this. We're getting it closer to where it was pre-1937 changes and then before Casablanca came in. The interesting about this building, if you haven't been in it in a long time because it's been closed, the front door is currently there on the left panel, and there's a level change of about 15 inches. So when you come in, there's a ramp. And so we're going to fill it in on the right side so that it'll all be one level in there. But the entry on the left makes a lot of sense because of the condition on the inside, which is why we didn't put the door back in the middle. That's the point. Zoom out, please. Oh, the windows, the transom windows are all existing historic material that we're not changing as well. Next slide. This is an interior elevation, so this is looking at the music venue from the parking lot, within the parking lot. So it's the elevation that would be facing west. On the lower existing elevation, what you're seeing is a big roll-up door. From left to right, there's a big roll-up door. There's a trash enclosure. There's some funky old wood doors that got put in there at some point. And then there's another screening element that screens a transformer. We're relocating the trash enclosure, we're relocating the transformer, we're changing those bad, ugly doors out for steel doors, and we're going to infill that roll-up door that's sitting there. So if you can slide up, please. So one of the things we want to do is create a queuing space outside of the music venue for in-between acts or before acts. We've been studying this area quite a bit, and we've looked at wood trellises, we've looked at steel, we've looked at all kinds of things, and where we've landed on is a light gauge, lightweight steel structure that would provide a cover using kind of a curved truss idea, some thin maybe fluted steel columns, something that's very lightweight that would provide shade, provide protection from the elements. That from left to right, there's 2 bays there. We've actually been studying making that smaller. The doors are being changed out from that wood to more steel doors that reflect what's currently on site. And then the pop out, that little entry vestibule, is a steel and glass enclosure. And again, we want, our design concept has been on this to anything that we're adding to the building or putting on the building or up against the building would not contradict it. It would be steel and lightweight and something that's very, just not heavy. When we studied wood trellises and wood elements, everything just got so massive really quickly. So this was our design idea, our design direction that we were going for, thinking about everything being in steel. So the glass that you see that's shaded on the right-hand side, that's a glass and steel framed structure that would be that kind of entry point and notice or notify the users coming that this is where the front door is. That's the intention. If you slide to the left, please, we can see what that looks like in a 3D sketch. Again, we're still developing the detailing on this. This is a concept, initial concept that we started with. And you can see here from the image 3, the little pop out that we're doing again at the piano bar right there where the cursor is. Again, lightweight steel glass, just intended to be something that says, hey, this is where you're going for this event, this is where you're going for that event. Zoom out, please. We can go to the next page. These are hard to see, but if you can zoom in on the 2 elevations, this is the upper one is a Gutierrez Street elevation, and
Pardon
then
my interruption to the applicant. I do have your updated elevation that you uploaded if you want me to bring that up at any point as well.
we had an update. Is this the sheet?
This is the old one.
Oh, sorry. We made a. This is it. Okay. Thank you for reminding me. If we can zoom in on the 2 elevations and then, so along Gutierrez Street, on the lower elevation is the existing condition. On the upper elevation is showing the street elevation with site walls, doors, access points, etc., trees. You can see on the left side of the upper elevation where we've, I don't think I have that image in here, but we looked at a historic image that had a storefront similar to what we're showing here, but it was on the right bay, the far right bay. Oh, you have it there.
We have it on the significance report.
A team effort here. So on the far left side, you can see there's 4 bays, and there's a doorway on the right bay. We've basically flipped it. So in our elevation, that doorway location won't work for us programmatically, but we can do it on the left-hand side, add an awning, and then we can put some marquees in those other bays, like kind of like the Granada, something similar to that. We've not yet designed them, but that's our thinking at the moment. If we can zoom out and go to the next slide. I'm almost done. Oh, you got to go back to the other set. If you can zoom into the 2 elevations real quick, I just want to point out, and this is fairly easy to see, but on the upper elevation, the proposed elevation, any window or door that's being changed is in gray. All the other ones in white are existing to remain, and the ones in gray, in some cases, are taking an old door that's not historic and putting a door back, like the one in the middle near your cursor, right above that one. So the existing elevation has a pair of doors and a side light on each side, but it's not historic material. So we're putting back steel doors and windows in that location. All the other doors and windows will remain.
That's Gutierrez.
That's the side facing Gutierrez Street, but there's the parking lot or the garden in between there, right? I think that's it for my part on the elevations. We'll go over to Graham on the landscaping. Oh, I just wanted to point out up above on 3 and 4, those were kind of our inspiration items for the awnings. There's some awnings over the doors into some of these spaces, and then item 3 is kind of like the steel window and steel kind of enclosure at those entry points was the design idea for that, something that looks in lightweight steel and glass. And then that's the Hotel Indigo. We're looking at awnings like that over the market entry and a couple other entry points along the elevation. So I'll let you go, Graham.
Thanks. If we can push forward to the landscape sheets, perfect. Next one, yeah, that's perfect. As was alluded to, the driving design intent for the landscape was to convert what is currently a very large parking lot into what would be a park-like environment to support the success and of the proposed restaurant, market, and venue spaces. You can go to the next slide, and you can zoom in if you like. We have carved out generous planting areas in undulous forms to create little alcoves for people to congregate and essentially enjoy the offerings of the marketplace. Good spaces for bistro tables, seat walls, just for people to kind of settle in, people watch. You can push on to the next.
Will you zoom into the corner maybe and talk about the
Yeah. If you could,
those trees?
yeah, if you could push into the next slide is a good image for it. Yeah. So another strong driving force in this proposal was to reimagine the corner of State Street and Gutierrez, which currently walls off pedestrian access for those walking the main drag of State Street. So we have opened up this corner entirely to invite people in off the street, creating a portal between the two existing street trees that frame the view of the market within. We just really want to, as you're walking by, it's currently just completely closed off, and we really want to bring people in. You can.
Can I make one note?
Yep.
Just one note, on the upper left image, we're adding some bike parking. Even though we're not required to have it, we are adding some bike parking along Gutierrez Street there as well, which I think is a good amenity. You can see it in that bottom part of that image.
So far, all of our technology is just it's all going.
There we go.
There. So we carved out an area of that site wall to add in some bike parking. You can zoom out. Next page.
Yeah, and then regarding material selection, we've tried to reinforce the character of Santa Barbara with white plaster site walls capped with a permeable wrought iron lattice that alludes to a stacked terracotta roofing tile. Santa Barbara sandstone boulders within planting areas, sandstone-clad seat walls, also proposed to reinforce the kind of like this native Santa Barbara character. We are currently still exploring paving materials and working closely with creeks to best balance the stormwater requirements with our desire for a natural paving material. The current placeholders in this plan are cobble sets that create kind of like a ribbon throughout the entire project, kind of drawing people in off of State. And that ribbon kind of departs in the alcove spaces, which are either going to be a natural-looking granite-crete material or a permeable gravel paving to kind of loosen the sense of formality and reinforce a park-like feeling. Within the outdoor dining and as well as outside the venue space, you can see on the bottom image there, we'd like to use an enhanced paving of either limestone or a natural-looking paver. If you'd like, you can push to ML 3.0. Planting material would likely consist of a mixed Mediterranean character while importing several mature trees and palms to complement the existing mature trees, and we're also proposing on relocating some existing palms on site just for immediate scale and an immediate garden feel. You can push to ML 4.0 if you'd like. Thank you. Landscape lighting is intended to create a pedestrian-safe walking surface with in-grade horizontal washes, as well as charming night scene with several lanterns and hanging pendant lights within the mature tree canopy. you can kind of see a mixture of hanging fixtures that we'd like to use. Again, these are kind of just placeholders, but you can get a sense of the character that we're after. I think that's about it, and open to any questions.
All right, thank you. Okay, so if that completes your presentation, we'll go to public comment.
Thank you, Chair Grumbine. At this time, I don't have any speaker slips for in-person public comment for this item, though if anyone in the room would like to speak under this item, they can come up to the podium at this time. But I'm not seeing any movement. We do not have any participants online with us, and we did not receive any written correspondence for this item, so I'm going to give it back to you.
All right, thank you. All right, to the commission for questions.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Drury.
I have a couple.
All right.
I think it was ML 1.2 or -2, looking at that one. So that architecture, that steel is you're looking west towards State Street?
Correct.
Good, thank you. And let's see, how many accesses off of Gutierrez? Just the one? I mean, public, I should say, vehicle access.
There's one access to the right of that image on the lower image.
Okay, oh, there
There's a
is.
double door access to Gutierrez there. Same image, there's the trash enclosure and the transformer enclosure kind of in the middle of that second bay on the right. On the other side of that is another egress point, and then there's another egress point at the end that goes towards the corner.
Where the parking spaces are?
Yeah.
And how many parking spaces are there?
There are 0 parking spaces.
No, none.
0.
Where the
Okay.
parking spaces were, is like what
Oh,
you're
I
saying.
see, okay,
Because
okay.
I think you're thinking of the original, the previous plan. that
Correct.
had the
Okay,
parking
thank
spaces.
you.
Yeah.
All
All right. Yes, Commissioner Butler.
Same visual. So you mentioned that on the steel structure that the roofing, you said, did I understand, terracotta tiles? Is that the idea?
No.
What are you
so-
gonna cover
I'm
that
so
with?
sorry. I was alluding to the steel lattice on top of the site walls.
Oh, okay.
There's this wrought iron work that kind of has this stacked terracotta aesthetic.
Is there a
Like a
different
shape
image
that
that?
looks like terracotta in section.
Is there a different image?
Yeah,
that-
let's
Yeah,
let's
I'm
pull-
intrigued to see.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
yeah, let's
So you're
pull-
referring to that. What's the steel support going to be covered with?
Steel roof.
Steel roof. Okay, thank you.
I mean, like it's the top of a bar, right?
Top of a
Oh,
bar.
wait, sorry.
Two different things.
Yeah, you're talking about two different things. Are you talking about, which element are you talking
The
about?
bottom image,
Okay, what is that?
what's the
cover
roofing
that?
on that?
Got it. Okay, steel
On the
roof.
canopy.
Okay, I was mistaking. it
Right?
for something else.
whatever.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Steel.
It would be steel.
Steel.
Yeah.
And then.
Metal roofing.
Okay. And like a standing seam on top, or?
Probably more of a flat seam, but yeah.
Mr.
Interlocking.
Chair, I have one more question.
Yep, sure.
Will the steel be made out of solid stock?
What we're looking at for the structure of it or for the roof material?
For those scallops in that wall?
Oh, that's the intention, yes.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Other questions?
I have
Yeah,
Mr.
Commissioner
Chair.
Lemnick.
The images you show of the landscaping show a relatively mature, full landscape.
Yeah.
When will that occur?
Yeah, so field dug olives will give immediate scale. And it would look exactly like that on day one
But-
in terms of the tree material. And then also field dug palms, I believe, also relocated existing palms that are very mature. So the canopy would be very, very similar to what you see. I would guess probably a year to get full growth on certain of the shrubs and 2 years for some other perennials.
So you have a lot of lower plant materials shown.
Correct.
And will they fill out that in that manner that you've shown quickly?
The intent is to get as large as specimens as can be afforded.
And you're going to only have dirt, you're not going to put down rock or gravel or anything else in there?
It won't be gravel mulch. It'll be like an ES2 Agromin natural mulch to help fertilize this over a
Okay.
long term, yeah.
Okay. That's all I have.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yes,
Yeah.
sure.
Commissioner Ginsburg.
Thank you. Yeah, I do have a few questions. Let's see. So the cars are, there's no cars, they're going to park across the street or wherever else? Is that the idea?
Yeah, so we
Is
have a
that-
city lot across State Street.
Right.
And we've been also discussing a deal with REI to use their lot at night
Okay,
when we have events.
okay. And then the steel windows, are they the color like you were showing, or dark? Are they going to be
Yes.
like a dark gray or
Yeah,
black or
black.
something? Yeah, okay. And then the park, you said how you're welcoming the public in. So would it be, I mean, I see you have it fenced around, but you have the gates there between the two trees, as you described. So would it be,
Can you zoom into between the two trees?
Yeah, could you zoom in onto the top right?
Top right.
so will it be open to the public to use, whether they're, I mean, you have, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, so
Fair question. I'll help answer that. We have several things that we need to deal with. So ABC is one, so we need some enclosures for alcohol consumption. We also have the desire of the owner and the management group to be able to close the site off for secure reasons at night and things like that.
Right.
And also to do buyout events or something like that if somebody was to take the whole property for some wedding or anniversary or whatever. So, yeah, we've strategically designed an enclosure around the property that we think is also inviting and brings people in, but has the ability to be controlled if you
Right.
need it to be.
Right, okay. So that gets to my next question, which was, so you have the restaurant in the front, and then you have the market, and then you have the piano bar, and then you have the venue.
Correct.
So it's mainly entertainment, but then you have this market. So
Correct.
can you talk about the and you have the park? So it's like New York City. No, I don't mean that in a bad way at all. But you have this.
That wasn't our
Central
intention.
No, but you have this nice park that the public can use, and they could come in, I imagine, go into the market, or maybe they would just want to sit out there, and then it would be used for a variety of whatever's going on during the hours of the day. So maybe could you just talk a little bit more about how you're imagining all these elements, how they work together, and what your sort of your approach and your thinking was about that?
Yeah, I can talk about some of it because most of it's more operational than it is design. But the music venue is going to be run by a company that's what they do, and same with the piano lounge. You know, 90% of the time the piano lounge is going to be just a bar to hang out in, and we're talking about a vinyl thing, experience, and there's all kinds of things that we're toying around with that at the moment. The music venue will have events. Some during the day, some at night. The market and the restaurant are intended to kind of work cohesively together
I see.
so that there's a morning coffee experience, there's an afternoon sandwich experience, and then there's a restaurant dining experience. And all of these things are intended to kind of work together
Right.
under like one management company so that they're all, but we don't have that all worked out yet from the operational side, but the intent is that those are all cohesive uses that that cohabitate this property.
Okay, thank you for that. And then lastly, could you go to the elevations that you had of the steel trellis? The
2.0, this one,
yeah,
2.3.
the one, number 2.
The canopy.
Zoom in
Number
on
2,
that.
yeah.
So I'm just, trying to understand that left side where it kind of goes out, and you've got 3 columns, and then there's that left side that just sort of
This
goes
kind of
out.
pokes out, yeah.
Yeah, what's going on there?
That's just capturing more space that we covered. By the way, those 2 pairs of doors were switchgear room, and those are being omitted now, that we've relocated that
Okay.
just last week. So those 2 pairs of doors will not be there any longer. But you're coming in off of Gutierrez left side of the image as the main entry, and then we are just providing cover, like when you go to Libero, you go in the back, and you have that area back there where you're hanging out with everybody before the show, and so that's what we're trying to create. There's nowhere else to do it but in front, so this is our idea.
So would you think that would, since those doors are going away, would you imagine that that would be a completed arch with another column, or?
We've actually pulled it back, so we've
To
only,
make it smaller?
we've made it smaller already. It's just,
Okay.
we've submitted before that, but, so anyway, it's going to be smaller in the
Yeah,
future.
no, I just was wondering what that,
I was just trying to,
They had a little extra steel.
just a little,
no, it's great, okay. Those are all my questions, thank you.
sure.
All right.
It's a buttress, I don't know.
I had one question, if there, and then we can maybe roll into comments. Assuming there's no other questions. Can we go to the landscape plan? And, okay, yeah, and you can zoom in there. So, ooh, not that far.
You can do it, come on.
There we go.
Plug in their
Nice.
coffee.
Okay, great, thanks. Okay, so I get on the explanation of the materials being Santa Barbara palette, and I think that makes sense, and where you're going with a lot of these materials and the look. What I'm trying to wrestle with is your geometry. So you've got a lot of, sort of swirling. In plan, you see it more than in others, but in the elevations and perspective. But in plan, you've got a lot of amoeba shapes and sort of winding pathway-ish things. And I guess my question is, how is the geometry of this? What examples can you think of in Santa Barbara that are this type of a geometry when it comes to a garden or a plaza or park? How does that being inspired by Santa Barbara?
Yeah, I think the inspiration largely would be the materiality itself and reading as this warm Santa Barbara sandstone tone that complements kind of the Santa Barbara sandstone itself, as well as like, say, a Hanley gold gravel paving for these dining alcoves. We really wanted to just reinforce this idea of kind of this inviting ribbon that carries you through, and that's kind of the genesis of this curvaceous form.
Okay. All right. Okay. Any other questions
Can
before
I
we
add
go?
a comment
Yeah.
here? Because I had the same question. It reminds me, this might be stretching a little bit, Alice Keck Park.
That's the closest that I
Alice
could
Keck
think.
Park Memorial Gardens.
I couldn't remember,
Yeah.
I couldn't remember the name
That
of
was the
that park,
closest
but
that
that's what
I could think of as well.
I was thinking of that, but I couldn't remember the name of it.
All right. Great. Any other questions before we go into comments? All right. Okay, so why don't we roll into comments? I do want to read or bring up Commissioner McClure's comments so that we can read them and discuss as we are going forward. He's obviously not here for a vote, but he is our landscape architect, and so he was gracious enough to send some comments after reviewing the plans and the design.
Bear with me, I should
Yeah.
have prepared these before.
No worries. Well, we can start off with our own comments as we go as well. Who would like to jump in? Does anyone want to start off? All right. I saw Commissioner Ensberg first, and then heard Commissioner Drury. Very quick.
I'm at
Yeah.
the corner.
And then Commissioner Lindberg.
Okay, well, I'll try to keep it simple. Thank you so much for the presentation. I'm pretty excited about this project. I think it's really, really nice, and I really like the approach and the thinking. I like how you've addressed the elements to restore the building and the sensitivity to be using the steel windows and replacing all that. And I like the trellis with the the steel truss idea. I think that's very effective without the thing. So I think it's very successful, and I appreciate the work and the thinking of the history, and you're going back and pulling out those older drawings of how it came to this place, and the adjustments that you had to make it work on the interior with the slope and all that. Yeah, thumbs up. And I like the fluted columns idea too. I think that would be really a nice detail and sort of reminiscent of steel structures. The the landscape, I really like the idea of the park. The one thing there's a couple things that I would just like to mention or suggest is I'm trying to work through the urban park versus a more rural. The boulders and stuff feel a little bit like maybe we're up at the Botanic Garden instead of, in the middle of the city. So I think finding the balance between that would be really, maybe take a look at that. And also, you've done such a beautiful job on the building. I'm feeling like there's so much landscape that we can't see the building. So I'm kind of liking maybe a little bit of reduction of maybe more the trees and less of the lower stuff, perhaps. And
Or
then
just do an uglier job on the building.
you could have that choice, I guess. But then you might have trouble with us later. And then the other thing that it was kind of, that I was wondering about is the wrought iron. I really like that wrought iron design with the scallop, but I'm not sure I'm convinced that on top of the stucco wall is really working. I think that it's more simple just with the stucco wall and then the wrought iron instead of flowing it up over the top. So I don't know if you need that for the security or whatever, but that was something that sort of popped out. So those are my comments, and I think it's a really nice project, and yeah, I look forward to seeing it the next time. Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Drury, and then we'll go to Commissioner McClure, and then Commissioner
Thank you,
Lindberg.
Mr. Chair. I agree with many of Commissioner Esber's comments. I can't remember the ones I don't agree with, so it won't matter. So I do have a reservation about the steel awning over that, is it a double door, sort of in the middle of the west-facing elevation? We've had trouble with that before. I remember just a lot of discussion about those kind of canopies. But other than that, I'm very much in favor of this project. Not to say that anything would be better than what's there now, but this is a very lovely project. I like the juxtaposition between the verticals and parallels in the building and the curvilinear idea of the park. Were there boulders No boulders.
No, they have boulders.
We don't want boulders. I don't want boulders. That's one of the agreements.
All
So,
right.
so
Yeah,
I
just
would
within
say
the
no
planting
boulders,
areas.
maybe some bench seating, but,
There's
like-
a seat wall, sorry.
yeah,
There's a seat wall along the top plan.
Those curving ones? right?
Yeah.
there's boulders along there.
The boulders are in the planters, actually.
Yeah, it's just be a
If they're
foil
in-
for
I guess
plant
if they're in the
material.
planter, I'd rather see something curvilinear that you could actually enjoy the curvilinear aspect of it without, if the boulders are small. Of course, if they get too small, they become rocks, right? So it's sort of or then gravel ultimately. But anyway, I think it's a very good project. I appreciate the work, and I'm a supporter. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to Commissioner McClure's comments, and then we'll go to Commissioner Lundvik. Okay. All right, so this was regarding this. The exterior courtyard design is not coherent. It's not compatible with EPP guidelines, not in any way historic. It looks fragmented, lacks function and purpose as seen without explanation. The entry walk on the Gutierrez Street seems very narrow for a commercial project. The design of the exterior should be more formal. If change of tenancy changes, does the courtyard offer flexibility? And I think you've answered some of that, but we can talk more. Too much curvy swirling of walks that fatten and become narrow, same for planting areas. It seems to lack clear intent. Enclosing the transformer is appreciated. The lighting seems interesting, but it may be too much lighting for EPV. I would like others to review the landscape lighting plan and access if this meshes with the EPV guidelines, many types of fixtures, and the quantity of light sources seems excessive. All right. That was Commissioner McClure.
It's unclear what he was really thinking.
Now, and I think some of the comments have been, and I want to give you a chance to also respond to one, which is more as a question. If change in tenancy changes, does the courtyard offer flexibility, or is it going to be too locked into?
It's not locked in enough. If something changes on there, it's very flexible in that way.
Okay. And then the light fixture or light number and fixture, discussion. I know you show a lot on your spec sheets. Do you want to just walk us through that, the where things are, you know, down lights from the trees, things like that? Because you have a wide variety there, obviously.
Yeah, I think we were basically advocating for like a very charming, like hanging pendant character. So we're bringing in.
And actually, we can jump from here to the. Yeah.
Barloo and Montecito.
Yeah, exactly. That was the inspiration, was Barloo. We love those hanging pendant lights, the rondelle lights. We find them incredibly charming. The third fixture there. So we kind of wanted kind of a fairy tale entry along Gutierrez and State Street to like really draw people in during the nightlife. And then D fixture is kind of like a glowing lantern, a more soft light on the interior of the park itself, hanging from the new field dug olives and the new other tertiary trees. And then the in-grade washes are just to promote a safe, accessible walk.
And where which ones do you mean by in-grade washes? Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, there we go. Okay.
yeah.
Gotcha.
Just, you know,
Yeah.
carrying
Just throwing light on
exactly,
the
throwing
ground.
light on the ground.
Yep.
And then some very modest uplights just to improve the character of these really majestic new trees that we would be bringing in.
All right. Okay, great. Thanks. That covers at least your response for those comments. Okay. To Commissioner Lenbeck.
Yeah, my comments probably are slightly different than the prior comments made. I think that the paving materials, particularly the paving material that you have down as you enter from Gutierrez and State Street, being that beige brick, is not Santa Barbara. Santa Barbara is more of a mission tile walkway, and we have gone and introduced a lot of brick color into our walkways, and I think that something that would be more in keeping with that character of established materials downtown would be a better solution for, at least as you enter into the project from the corner. You might want to continue to use your your cobbled paving throughout the rest of the project. I would think that a darker or different color would be better. I can see this project after about 6 months where guacamole and catsup and you know, every other thing is walked into the paving material, and it will be difficult to keep looking clean when it's that light a paver to have down on the ground. You may be happier with a darker paver, like brick or whatever, just from the standpoint of appearance. But I do object to the light paving as you come in off the corner.
Thank you.
And other entries as you come to the wall line or whatever.
Yeah, totally flexible on those right now. Yeah.
Okay. Any other comments from you,
No,
Commissioner?
I'd say.
Okay. All right. Who wants to go next? Commissioner Butler.
I just had a flash, it's sort of like regards to the comments about paving. It would be wonderful to tie it into our Paseo projects, because if we could get some consistency through the city, this would be a great opportunity to match. And I know the Paseo projects are still in their infancy, right? But if, at some point, that could be a nice way to sort of guide other developments like this at some point in the future, okay? I think the point was made about landscaping obscuring the architecture. We actually see that a lot. So I would encourage you, you're smiling because you know the reference, let the architecture be there, let it be there. And then finally, lighting, not the landscape lighting per se, there's been a good discussion about that. But this building offers a great opportunity itself for lighting, and especially if you have the entrance to both the music venue and the bar area, et cetera, and the market. Each one of those has a distinct entry to it. So I think lighting throughout the structure is going to be, could be a great way to highlight the architecture itself and the utility. That's all. Great project. Otherwise, I'll say this is off to a great start.
Thank you.
All right, great, Commissioner Doran.
My comments, this is a very nice project, and I can certainly support it. I share some of the concerns expressed by Commissioner McClure and Commissioner Lenvig about, about the park, and particularly the paving, what the surface is. And I think in a way it's almost over-designed to be casual. But I think the paving is one surface, and then the volume will be articulated by the lighting. So the next time we see it, I think the lighting will be a very important part of the presentation, because I think that's what will make this in the evenings and so forth. But it's a nice project.
Mr. Chair, may I add something?
Sure, go for it.
I think it's a question of, if you're going to make the park, make it a park, so not narrow walkways, but some generously sized walkways that will accommodate people passing one another. I think it just needs to be ironed out a little bit. It's a good project in any case. Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Lodge, did you have any comments you want to add?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I concur with Commissioner McClure's comments, particularly about the width of the entry from Gutierrez Street. That seems very, very narrow and not inviting, you know, to get people in. And I'm assuming the market is there partly because there is now an apartment building with about 80 units in it across the street, and which would likely be the majority of customers. I did have a question about the music venue. How many people can be seated in that? Have you figured that out yet?
We're limited, well, it depends. If you're seating people, you get 125, maybe 150, depending on how you're seating them, right? If you're seating them in rows and chairs or rounds. From a music performance perspective, it would be right around 400.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, well, I like the way that it's maintaining its historic elements, and it should be very nice when it's done.
Thank you.
All right, Vice Chair Uli?
I don't have anything unique to say. I generally agree with the comments that have been assembled so far, but I think it's going to come down to the detailing, how those details are executed, which we'll see.
All right. So my additional comments, I agree with my fellow commissioners on most everything. And the two main ones I'd say is the steel awning discussion question. And so just as a sort of general, we've been, or at least over the last number of years, fairly negative on steel awnings. In my mind, this is a good example of one that has the freedom to break that rule more, especially because of its location of where it is, the fact that it has, raw brick and other things that are sort of funk zone-esque, and has steel doors and windows throughout it. So it's very much still in its strong character where other buildings don't. So in that case, I think it gets to have that more of that exception. I do think that the study of it is going to be important. At first, I was thinking maybe not the truss look but instead go to something that's a little more decorative in terms of how that structurally is held, because you're already going kind of that way with the bundled columns or the fluted column. So you're playing in that Santa Barbara's range of steel and iron design, right? So I really appreciate it where you're sort of looking for some of that detail. I would say at least study a truss or a support system that's a little bit more decorative and a little less just pure industrial, because you're going from a thin colonnette to something, and it's a little on the simple side. Even if it just got detailed out nicely, it might be able to have more character, and that might do it. So that would be the comment, and I agree with fellow commissioners about not just having a flying buttress to nowhere that doesn't land. But it is a cantilever. It makes sense that way. But I know you're studying that anyways. And then the only other comment I had was with the geometry of the garden. And the Alice Keck Park Memorial Gardens, it's a big sort of romantic landscape. And I think it works, and I think it has some of those curvy lines, but, it might be that you can pull it off, but it seems like you're packing a heck of a lot of curvy lines in here to a very small space, and it's sort of compressing it down to an extreme, at least for Santa Barbara. And this is an interesting thing, because it's not a park, but it's not a garden, it's not a plaza, it's kind of a little bit of everything. And so I think, I can see the curving bench seat being like a park Güell in Barcelona, and but I see how you're even in a simple way doing a creative thing, and that's great. And I think it needs to also be a little more either structured or a little more Santa Barbara in its geometry of its layout. And so I know that's not a very clear direction, but but I think you kind of are getting where the general notion, and I think the components can probably stay generally where they are and where things have worked out, but just their expression to be a little bit more simplified or ordered in their geometry as opposed to freeform.
Thank you.
But I think in all, you guys, this is a really nice project. It'll be great to not have construction fencing up for another couple of years, or at least in a couple of years. Okay, so it's here for project design approval.
No,
Prior project design approval. Never mind. Sorry.
He wants to move fast.
Yes.
Okay. We'll go there too.
Yeah. So, project compatibility findings and minor alterations findings will be required. Okay. What are the minor alteration findings again?
Historic building.
So just any alterations on
Okay,
the
great.
historic building.
That's okay. So, all right. So, I can summarize summarize our comments. I guess will be the next best thing. And we can't even give it project design approval if we wanted to. So,
Chair,
yes.
just so that we can be clear, because that's our goal, right? Can we leave it open? Because I noticed, like, on the one, there's that one light fixture. In terms of the more ornamental versus more industrial, I'm leaning more towards the industrial kind of thing as opposed to more ornamental. But I did notice that they had that one light fixture that's very curly. That I think that's on the building.
It's in the landscape.
The second one on the left.
That's wrought iron.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a hanging.
Is that the second one?
Where is that? The fixture B.
That one.
Decorative post mounted, it's on top of the
It just
pillars at the entry.
Entry of the road.
okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and
Okay, well, so this was kind of, this to me is more, filigree and more ornamental, which is kind of the opposite of what I'm thinking of these trusses, which is more industrial. So I just think we should be clear about that, and I sort of lean, as I said, more toward the industrial side, and I would simplify that fixture and make it more plain. Not that I don't love Baroque, I do, but I just think for this building and the direction they're going and the steel windows and all of that, that ties in better. And then, so I just wanted to make that.
I want to check where the location on that is. So location of that, can you hover over it?
Yeah, there and at the entry of the restaurant and the venue, yeah.
So that's on the plaster wall with the wrought iron scallops, and then
These
on
are
top.
pillars at the entry, and then they sit on.
Gotcha.
It feels Morocco or
Yeah,
something.
the intent is, and I agree with you, the intent is kind of to have like a microcosmic version of the scalloped steel kind of reference. I agree with you, that's very ornate.
So, if we have a consensus, we can. I think there's got to be this balance between EPV, Spanish Colonial Revival, and the industrialness of it.
Yes.
And I think that striking that balance could be probably done a couple ways. But why don't we?
Just so we're giving them.
Why don't we
like
have
this-
that comment just so you know that there is this fine, and it's probably somewhere in between that will probably be the sweet spot. Okay, well, at least it's noted as they are continue to refine the design.
Right.
And it is a tricky one, kind of combining the two. And it could be simpler and probably work well. Okay, so let me,
Okay,
any other,
thank you.
I'll try to summarize the comments, and then we'll try to move on from this item. Yeah, and then and we'll make sure we have any other comments that we need to have. Okay, so first, we want to thank the applicant for this wonderful project and for adding to the beauty of Santa Barbara and finishing this project off. We're especially appreciative of the historic sensitivity and elements that are being restored, as well as the study of the original design as you move forward with this building and develop it. Okay, so for additional study, please continue to study the steel trellis and structure, with the note that the fluted columns is appreciated, and working within the wrought iron and steel tradition of Santa Barbara is also appreciated, and knowing that it's close to the funk zone and there is some industrial quality to it as well. The landscape, so let's see, is the commission supportive of the comment of less, yeah, sort of Commissioner McClure's, and then my sort of version of it, which was sort of to simplify the geometry and not have it as much as a curvy freeform geometry, and to regularize it more, and yeah, and that sort of
urban design.
yeah, so more of a urban open design.
Yes.
Okay.
Which is real more formalized
Yes.
than informal.
Yeah. And so the boulders in planters, is there a consensus as to, is that okay or not okay?
Fine with me.
They were covered with the plants anyway, so. Yeah, so you heard some of the comments, so as you go forward, you can try to refine to get to something that you think will work.
Pardon my interruption, Mr. Chair. Just to clarify that comment for the record, would it be the commission is split on the acceptability of the boulders?
Yeah, I think that's a good way of putting it. That way they know it's at least, yeah,
It's a split vote.
split face.
Between a rock and a hard place.
Oh, my God, I was waiting.
Going downhill.
Yeah, we better pull up quick. All right. The palette of, okay, so let's talk about the hardscape palette before we give a direction on it. I hear what you're saying about the cobble, about it being, and I guess the direction would be to integrate a darker brick or stone for at least the entry off of Gutierrez and State, really. So that would be one thing. I do think that still palette-wise, you can look at like Street in Spain or El Paseo, and you get a lot of the flagstone, but at least those warmer colors. But it's not State Street, and it's not the brick, and that usually gets mixed with some of the sandstone or limestone. So so maybe that's the comment, is to integrate more of a darker either brick or stone, as especially coming off of the main streets, something like that.
I really support the brick idea after Commissioner Lenvik brought that up, especially given the building has brick on it. You know, they were taking off that, so it's very much part of the palette of the building as well as the State Street. So I think the brick is very supportable.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I'll just say that to study the hardscape with the suggestion of incorporating more brick, especially a red brick, into the design, especially from the streets. So at least as you go forward, that's kind of, and it might be throughout, so.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I just want to clarify, because they just redid that whole corner, and there's no brick anywhere.
It's all concrete, isn't it?
It's all concrete with medallions and things in the grid lines. It's very different. That corner with
Yeah.
the underpass just got redone. both sides of the street. So it has a very different character than right across the street. So I don't know if
Gotcha.
that helps or
Yeah,
hurts.
yeah, yeah.
I'm
No,
just-
that's a good point to
Yeah.
bring up. So, so study.
We'll study it. We'll study it.
Yeah.
To your
And-
point, we'll
yes.
study it.
Frankly, the decision by creeks will essentially determine whatever that material is.
Those creek tyrants.
Hey,
I didn't say that. I was just kidding. All right. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so you'll study the hardscape with those that understandings as well. There might be some other patterns you pull out. Okay, let's see. The lighting. So maybe a good direction is to continue to study lighting, maybe with also lighting studies just in terms of lumens and getting a sense of how well lit this is, knowing that we appreciate a more discrete lighting as opposed to more, Knott's Berry Farm lighting.
And
So-
Chair, could you also add what Commissioner Butler said, which, that maybe there's more lighting on the building itself? Like, look at the courthouse, where you make this beautiful building and maybe you want to accentuate the
Yeah.
building a little bit more and then tone down the lighting that's in the landscape to be the fairy twinkle lights,
Chair.
but.
Yes.
Perhaps that comment is that the commission would like more information on the lighting and to consider various strategies, building lighting versus park lighting.
Yep, that sounds good. Let's incorporate what he said.
I think it's important we stress on that. We have outside activity going on here, and I don't believe we ever saw or approved the lighting that's on the hamburger facility on the corner of Chapala and Ortega or Coda, whatever it is. Yeah, and if you drive by at night, you got to wear dark glasses. It is so bright.
Window?
The window is just immensely bright, and they could have half the amount of light there and still be happy. So we want to be careful the exterior venue doesn't get overlit.
Sounds good, and I think having a lighting plan, not having a lumens plan that shows photometrics of it will help us to see that.
Thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
Mr. Chair, just to clarify, and in addition to the comment that Commissioner Jordan articulated, would you like to request a photometric plan?
Yes. Yeah. All right. And any other comments that should be captured here?
Why are these so easy and move so quickly?
Okay. All right. With that, I'll look for someone to make a motion with those comments for an indefinite or 2-week.
Mr. Chair, did you want to,
It'll need to be
Oh, the indefinite, because that's come back for project design approval, so.
Correct.
Okay.
can, okay.
Oh, yeah, and actually,
I'll work with
so
staff on
project compatibility findings and minor alteration findings will be required. And so I guess another comment I would like to add as just a general, without going through all of them, is just to say that in general, the project compatibility findings and minor alteration findings are supportable at this time, as a general thing, so that at least there's an indication that they're doing a good job and they just need to refine these things that are, and then come back for project design approval. Okay? Does someone want to make that motion?
Did somebody make the motion?
No, but I'll make the motion.
Oh, right out of the gate. Okay.
I'll second it.
All right, thank you both. All right, under discussion, any further discussion? All right, see none, let's have a roll call vote.
Thank you. I'll begin with Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner Drury,
Yes.
Commissioner Ensberg,
Yes.
Commissioner Lenvick,
Yes.
Commissioner Lodge,
Yes.
Commissioner Butler,
Yes.
Vice Chair Uli,
Yes.
and Chair Grumbine.
Aye,
Motion passes. Thank you.
all right, nice work.
Good luck with that.
All right, do we want any quick break before, or are everyone good to go for this last one?
Let's get it.
Okay, all right. On to item 2. This is a one-time pre-application review. It's for 701 State Street et al. And 914 Chapala Street. This is located in EPV. Proposal to demolish 135,000 square feet of existing retail space to construct 233 rental housing units over the existing underground and above-ground parking structure, as well as new retail space at the corner of State Street and Ortega Streets. Project also includes demolition of 186 parking stalls in City Lot 2 to construct an additional 80 affordable rental housing units. So no final appealable action will take place at this meeting. Project compatibility findings will be required for project design approval, and that is it. All right, so welcome. So if you wouldn't mind introducing yourselves from that side of the table.
Sure thing. Good afternoon, Commission members. My name is Kelly McAdoo. I'm the City Administrator, and we're, because of kind of the unique nature of this project, sort of kicking off and introducing and giving the context for it, but then the architectural team will come up and do that part of the presentation. So I'll let...
Okay.
Yes.
You.
Yes,
Thank
introduce
you.
yourself on the record.
Sarah Connect, City Attorney.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great. Okay. And I want to just, we have a large team behind us. Let me see if I can get everyone. So we do have Tess Harris, who's our State Street Master Planner, working on the project. Dan Henschke, Assistant City Attorney. Graham Lyons from Mullen Hensel, who is representing AB, the developer or applicant in this case. Duncan Patterson with Gensler Architects, and Clay Arell with AB Design Studio. And then Allison DeBusk in the back, who is also supporting, obviously, this project. So I will start and just do some context-setting comments on some background and kind of why we're doing this project. And so if I get the next slide. I don't know who has, next slide, please. So I'm sure many of you know the Paseo Nuevo Mall and its redevelopment is clearly crucial to the revitalization of State Street, with the closure of Macy's and Nordstrom's, really sort of a gap in that middle of our city center in terms of vitality and function. And so this is a partnership project between the developer and the city, given some of the unique ownership structures. So next slide. So this project was actually developed in 1989 with the former redevelopment agency of the city. And that, in that time, that property was owned by the redevelopment agency, and they were able to sign a 75-year ground lease. And when, in 2011, when redevelopment agencies around the state of California were dissolved, those ground leases were then transferred to the city for management. The challenge now is that the city's charter has a restriction of 50-year leases. The redevelopment agency was not subject to that same lease restriction. And so the Paseo Nuevo leases only have a 40-year term left on them. And while we own the land under the mall, the ground leases assign all of the ownership rights, the possessory interest, the development to the lessees. And so the uses in the mall and also the parking in downtown at lots 1, 2, and 10 are controlled through what's called the reciprocal easement agreement. And that is a tri-party agreement between the city, the owners of Paseo Nuevo, and the owners of the former Nordstrom building. Next slide. So how did we get where we are? So the Macy's building and the mall shops are now controlled by a subsidiary of Alliance Bernstein. So Alliance Bernstein is actually not a developer. They are a global investment management firm. And how they got involved in this this project, they had lent money to the prior owner of the mall. And there was a default on that loan, and so now AB owns the asset. They have assembled a development team to work on the redevelopment instead of just selling off the asset as they could have, and so they decided that this would be a better process to try to recoup some of their investment. So they have Arcturus Group, the Georgetown Company, as we talked about, Gensler, and AB Design Studio, and obviously Mullen and Hensel. Next slide. So again, we've been working on this process for about 3 years now to bring about the redevelopment of the mall. As I mentioned, they are the unintentional owner because they made the loan and the borrower defaulted. And we have been working very cooperatively with them, really trying to deliver a mixed-use project that meets the city's goals while also tries to bring them a reasonable return on investment for their investment in the property. So you can see the last bullet really outlines the city owning the land. AB owns the Macy's, former Macy's store, and the inline shop improvements, and a group called Shop Off owns the Nordstrom building improvements. So all three of us, again, are bound by this reciprocal easement agreement, and so we all must work together to find a mutual beneficially way to redevelop the property. Next slide. You can see here, this is the current ground lease interests. The red outline is the parcel that is owned by AB. You can see parking lot, where the location of parking lot 2, the location of the Nordstrom building. Parking lot 1 is, as many people know, is within the mall, located within the mall, but then also parking lot 10 was developed specifically to serve parking interests for the mall. Next slide. So again, the 40 years remaining on the ground lease is really insufficient time to amortize an investment required to redevelop the site. And so we cannot extend the leases with AB per the city's charter. So we are looking at a way that we can partner together to redevelop the sites. Next slide. So here is kind of where we have come through the 3 years of negotiations with AB. Right now, there is obviously no housing on the site, and 240,000 square feet of retail. That does not include Nordstrom. You can see there are community uses of an art museum and theater. There are 572 parking spaces in Lot 1. And the building height currently is about 66 feet, and then Lot 2 has 569 spaces. I'm not going to walk through all the details. AB originally came forward with a March 2024 proposal, and when they began to look at that and actually get into the architectural drawings and engineering work that was needed, it really was not going to be financially feasible because they'd have to take down the entire site and then rebuild a new sort of foundation over the parking garage, which would have made it cost prohibitive to build the basically 500 unit project that they had originally come forward with. So in August, we went back to council with a proposed development plan, revised, that includes 233 market rate units built solely on the Macy's building site, so tear down of the Macy's building site and a rebuild there. Affordable units, they are looking at building 80 units in partnership with the Housing Authority or another affordable housing developer, and that would be constructed on a portion of Lot 2. And we can talk more about that as we go through some of the schematics. And then again, a little bit of a reduction in the retail square footage, but a new market built at the corner of State and Ortega, sort of a community market space there, and just really a re-envisioning, a reimagining of the retail space. Being able to keep the art museum and the theater, and again, allowing for 600 spaces in Lot 1, which is actually more than existing. They would build some new spaces specifically for the market. And then residential unit, parking per unit, about 1 parking space per unit, even though that is not required in this area. And then the building height currently proposed at 75 feet. A density of 38 units per acre, and then a reduction of parking spaces in Lot 2 to 383 that would allow for the construction of the affordable housing units. I will note they are only required to build the 12 to 23 affordable housing units under their inclusionary requirement. So they are looking as a way to add value to the city as a part of this project. Next slide. So what we are working on now is what is called a disposition and development agreement. And what this does is, because the city owns the land under the ground leases, the goal is to extinguish the ground lease and to basically transfer the city's ownership in the land to the developer so that they can make the investment in the property to redevelop the entire site. And so the disposition and development agreement is a little different than just a pure development agreement. It outlines the terms and conditions necessary for the city to transfer the land to the developer. And so it's not what you typically think of in a traditional development agreement setting. It really is the conditions necessary to transfer the project or properties. And so you can see all of that, and it will talk about the scope and the scale of the project, terms and conditions that must be met before the city transfers any of our property to the developer, has a process and timeline for developing the affordable housing, the timeline and process for final design review, some performance guarantees, and any financial contribution that the city would make to the project. Next slide. So on August 5th, the council did approve the revised project description as was outlined in this presentation, directed staff to continue to negotiate the disposition and development agreement for the project, also directed us to do a very comprehensive outreach and engagement strategy around the project. A lot of concerns about just not any, we haven't had any input to date. And I think the answer to that is the AB and their team needed to find a project that seemed financially feasible, that city staff generally supported, getting council's buy-in on that as a concept, and now we're working on the details. And so that's kind of where we are. We're taking those next steps to make sure that we can make that project work from a design, from an architectural, engineering, and all of our planning and zoning requirements. We are currently, the Housing Authority, we did make a presentation to the Housing Authority a couple of weeks ago. They did authorize their staff to work with us and AB to negotiate the Lot 2 affordable housing development. Obviously, a lot of questions and comments and feedback during that meeting, but we are continuing to work with them on that element of the project. And the goal is really to have a public hearing at council for approval of this disposition and development agreement before the end of 2025. However, that is not obviously the last time that anyone will see this project, and I'm going to turn it over to City Attorney Connect here in a second to talk about why we're here today in front of the HLC and what other opportunities the HLC will have to look at this project as we go forward. So the goal would be hopefully to move forward in late 2025 and through the spring with the land use entitlement application and review. And so we're currently in the pre-application concept review phase right now. So next slide. I think that's it. Oh, and then I will turn it over to Ms. Connect.
Great, thank you. Okay, good afternoon. As I said, I'm Sarah Connect, the City Attorney. Thank you for having us here today. So I just wanted to speak very briefly about the purpose of meeting with you all today and the hearing today. So as Ms. McAdoo said, that this is a pre-application review, and although the process is quite a bit more complicated because the city owns the underlying fee of the property, this would be a typical pre-application review you would do for under the city's average unit size density program. So under your AUD program, that's what the review would consist of. And as you know, the purpose here is to give the applicant early feedback on design issues for the project. So far, the pre-application review process has that the project has been reviewed by staff at various departments, the land development team, concept review by your board, and then we will have a planning commission concept review currently scheduled for October 9th. After that is complete, as Ms. McAdoo said, the project will go to City Council. We have tentatively scheduled that for December 2nd, at which point the City Council will review the disposition and development agreement. At that point, the City Council will have the minutes from your body and also the Planning Commission when they consider that. The disposition and development agreement will include the project description, and that will be the basis for formal planning application that will be submitted once the disposition and development agreement has been approved and executed by the parties. So the applicant at that point can move ahead with land use entitlements and review, and we anticipate that will be spring, at which point it will return to your body for concept design review following your normal process. Thank you.
Thank you.
the architect is ready to do their presentation, and then we'll be available for questions.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, so, and typically for a normal project, it's 15 minutes, but. But I think you got a few more extra. But obviously, because of the size and nature of this project and importance, we're going to keep things rolling, and also that this is our last item, keep things rolling in an efficient manner, but we're obviously going to give enough time to actually give a decent review. So, yeah, so with that, if the architects team want to come up. All right, and so introduce yourselves for the record, and then walk us through the design. Once you're all done and we're ready to go, we'll move on to public comment, and then we'll come back to the commission for questions.
My name's Duncan Patterson with Gensler Architecture. I'm the design partner in charge of the project.
Okay, great.
Clairel, architect, AB Design Studio.
All right.
You'll need to touch your, so the light turns on.
Oh, yeah, and we're
There.
also
Roll.
having technical difficulties today, so.
Yes, through the chair to the applicant,
Okay,
yes.
great,
so
no
if you can
problem.
distract me verbally.
We'll walk through it, yeah, as we go.
It's pretty self-explanatory. Okay, great, thanks. Pleasure to be here. Very nice to meet you all. Let's start to talk about what we've been doing. It's just sort of a cover sheet. Go ahead. So, as you can see, this is an aerial view looking toward the north. You'll see State Street in the distance there. This is with Chapala and Ortega in the foreground. And essentially it shows the kind of the breadth of the project. What we're doing with primarily multifamily residential on Ortega, and then also at Lot 2 in the distance when it says income restricted residential. Essentially, we're getting 313 units approximately throughout the whole site, about 80 at Lot 2. They're the income restricted units, and 233 market rate housing at Ortega and Chapala. One of the features of all this is that we really know and we see a huge pent-up demand for a good grocer to be on State Street. Our market has said that, there are a lot of people looking to be in State Street, but it's very hard to create a space for it. So we see that on the corner of State and Ortega, in that front corner. And then the retail will be rescaled and targeted for redevelopment. There's a good demand once we make this kind of redevelopment to get better quality restaurants, F&B, and inline retail today. It's challenged because of the closure of Macy's. Clearly, we're taking the Macy's building down and rebuilding. Part of our strategy to make this doable is to include and reutilize the existing parking on the site. So we're not tearing down parking structures that are assigned to it. We're simply reallocating our spaces so there's good parking for residential units and still excellent parking for the retail customers. And then all of our housing parking is on site. So obviously everyone will have easy parking to their unit and accessibility and a simplicity of use there. Next, yes, sorry. So here we are from the other direction, again with Chapala in the foreground. You see the income restricted residential near the Canary Hotel at the lower left of this image. Moving forward, you see the Nordstrom, Paseo Nuevo proper, the sort of core of it all, the Balboa building, and our multifamily residential, which runs the length of Ortega Avenue. Next. So this is an important diagram because what you'll see here is on the mall site proper, the colored portions in yellow, those blocks, and our new multifamily is the area that our client controls. Everything that's not colored, Balboa building, even that small piece that's part of the mall, close to the Ortega Street corner, all are by other owners. So we are focusing solely on what you see in color here. And then Lot 2, of course, we are altering the parking structure to accommodate and build the market housing at that end. Next. Public spaces come first. If we don't revitalize the entire site and treat this as one completely immersive project, we're not going to do our best jobs. And it's important to us to reposition the Paseo spaces in a way that is friendly to new retailers here. Also to create an amenity that's a walkable community in downtown Santa Barbara with 313 units coming into play. This will stimulate pedestrian activity, the ability to walk and stroll on State Street, Chapala, and all of downtown the historic district. So these images talk about where we're looking and what we're looking to do with the public spaces. Next. Private spaces. This is a closer up view of the roof plan of the proposed 213 units at Ortega Street, the market rate housing. And you'll see we've set it back on all sides, including exterior facing courtyards. This helps break the mass of the building, helps us tie to the architectural language of the context around us, and it gives us outdoor decks that really enhance the quality of living in this area of a site. Everyone gets a series of private decks, and at the same time, it still is integrated into Paseo Nuevo proper, so that you have a pedestrian experience that weaves its way through downtown. By putting these many units on the site and the grocer at the top corner at Ortega and State, we feel that we're going to stimulate a lot of pedestrian activity in the area. Next. So these are some of the views we've generated of the architecture and the massing. This is at Chapala and Ortega. You see on the right a building that's already been approved. I don't know its status in construction right now. In the foreground on the right. And we are actually, today, there is a parking structure that has sort of a decorative wall around it. That parking structure stays in place. So we are actually designing and redesigning around it and integrating the architecture into it. As we move upward, we step back in a way. We create porches and terraces for units and private arcades. This view doesn't show the stepped back courtyard to the right behind the building at Ortega's corner, but ultimately in the plan you'll see there are 4 exterior raised courtyards that are part of the apartment's domain. We've also taken care to replace some of the architectural ornament on the outside right now is not necessarily effective. We believe good landscape treatment along the new facades along the street is really important. The functioning of the project as a whole does not change curb cuts and ingress and egress into the parking structures at all. There is one drop-off on Ortega, which is where you will come into the main lobby at the center of Ortega Street to get to the market rate units. There will also be, because the size of the Macy's and the requirements of a grocer, an allowance for some internalized parking in there that's additional to what's built, not the subterranean parking, that will help, that's really necessary to get a market to thrive in this environment. Next. Here's the State Street corner. You see the historic building on the left. These are all accurate in size and scale. We've taken care to really play to cornice lines of adjacent buildings around the context of the site. The idea is that the market gets a good prominence as you're heading north on State Street. The apartments above step back multiple times. You see a courtyard to the left above the lattice trellis down Ortega there. That's an outdoor courtyard so that the units actually step back some 30, 40 feet or so and allow for outdoor terraces up above. So everyone gets little pieces of outdoor terraces with views and amenities. The architecture is in keeping with with what we're looking at along State Street, and we're cognizant of creating an incredible pedestrian environment to downtown. It's very important to us. You'll see the Balboa building in the distance between the palm trees, and then there's more Paseo there, but the primary market units are on the Ortega Street face. Next. So here we are coming into Paseo Nuevo proper. We believe the market can spill into that. We think a corner entry point there would be great. As you can see, we will redesign facades throughout this. Today, this is that blank face of the Nordstrom building that had very little activity on it. We want to create more activity at street level everywhere. So we're taking the time to find the way to get circulation for shoppers, visitors, and pedestrians who are walking through the historic district to be more encouraged to walk through the project rather than around it. So pulling people in is fundamental to that. And you'll see in the distance what happens to the market rate units above is they actually wrap the corner down Ortega a bit. Next. And if you're curious where these views are taken, there is a small key drawing there with a little orange triangle for your orientation. So here we are in the middle of the project. We want to completely re-envision this centerpiece and really bring in world-class tenants again. And in a changing world where department stores no longer function and work, we know that that involves placemaking. We see a strong market for better food and beverage and better inline retailers who want to be here. But with Nordstrom and Macy's defunct, it's a challenge right now. As we redevelop and rebuild, and especially as we put more residential units into downtown, our leasing advisors are very optimistic about how we can revamp the entire center space. Next. So this is at Lot 2. This is a view at Chapala. You'll see the Canary Hotel on the left, and these would be the affordable units or income-restricted housing. We have approximately 80 units here available. This is done by altering Lot 2 structure, restriping and reworking its internal systems, and putting together a building that is really a separate building alongside the remaining 3/4 of the structure. I think if you see in the plan there, it's a little hard to see. You'll see that sort of comb shape. We've created a few courtyards around the alley space in there, and this has the required mixed for affordable housing of studios, 1s, 2s, and even 3-bedroom units. And that gets us to the 80 units on that portion of the site. Next. So these are longer elevations of the buildings. You'll see east elevation at Ortega Street. We are preserving some of the entry points. We have to deal with and move and change the service areas from the Macy's, for example. You have a west elevation of the Paseo. That's inside the Paseo, the long elevation on the bottom. And then the north elevation to State Street, you'll see has the setback residential units above a low-ledged portico at the base. Next. This is a typical section showing how those upper courtyards reduce the massing. What we've done here is you'll see retail at the Paseo side on the left, Ortega Street to the right. The lobby to the residences will be in front, and because we're left with some very deep space in the side, we can put some of the market parking totally unseen from the outside of the project inside. That will get us the ability to get a good grocer onto that corner, because they will require some form of car access. The units above have their own stepped courtyards. Notice they're at different levels. Sometimes the units push out, and we've taken liberties with the massing to kind of break the mass of the building at all 4 sides. Next. These are more sections through, so these are almost a little hard to get, but what you see on the top one in particular is how we are building over and around the existing parking ramps that are on the Ortega and Chapala corner. This is a bit of a challenge, but economically it really helps us make the project workable, and it functions quite nicely. So we can divide and segregate pure residential parking that has immediate access to units from public parking for the retail. Next. This is a diagram that's a little challenging to understand, but essentially it's how we have broken down the types of parking. So red parking is essentially for the public, and the yellow parking spaces, this is an exploded diagram, show where the parking that's reserved for residential is in the project. Next. I think there is the other deck with the long elevation on State Street that I'd like to go to. There we go. So we took a long elevation down State Street, and you'll see the dashed line. You'll see, if you look closely on the left, Ortega Street is between the historic building to the south, and notice that we are working to the scale of the existing roof lines and cornices. The Balboa building is in the middle. We are lower than that highest building on the block in height. And then as you work your way through, you see how the different buildings vary throughout this entire stretch of State Street. So Kenyon Perdido is at the far end, right there, and then continues to other buildings. So we've made it a point in our design process to really play to the scale of State Street and push larger forms back from State Street, and also respect the fact that we see a tradition of there not being residential balconies towards the State Street elevation. We've made those more internalized and more toward the Chapala side of the project, which feels appropriate to the architecture of the historic core. I think that's our general overview.
All right. This will be an easy one. All right. If that completes your presentation, then let's go to public comment. Anyone in the room for public comment?
Thank you, Chair Grumbine. At this time, I do have 2 speaker slips for in-person public comment. First will be Pedro Toscano, followed by Thomas Foley. You'll have 2 minutes to speak, and you have the timer on the screen that you can watch. And if anyone else would like to speak, they can bring a speaker slip up to me at this time.
Thank you very much. Hello, Commissioners. How are you? Thank you for the time.
Can you just make sure your microphone is on? Thank you.
Touch it on the bottom.
Testing. All right, good. Thank you very much for the opportunity to get up and speak. It's going to be a wonderful project from what I hear. This project was built back in that time by union carpenters, and we would like to, basically make a presence here and just let them know, let the developers and our city officials know that we would like to get involved with this project. We have apprenticeships that in Santa Maria and Camarillo that service this area, and we just want to get involved and help build this project. It's going to be a wonderful one, and that's it. I just want to go on record.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next will be Thomas Foley.
Good afternoon, members of the commission. I'm here in 2 capacities. First, I'm the asset manager for New Esperanza LLC. It owns a portion of the land under the mall. It's where Bots and Old Town's Mall used to be in Piccadilly. And nobody's really approached us yet about what's going to happen to our lease. So that's why I wanted to come today, so the city attorney would know that somebody would like to be informed about it. Secondly, I'm a downtown property owner that owns buildings at 15 and 17 West Carrillo. I'm very concerned about the existing parking. We also have my building lost its parking years ago when the mall was built, so we have 6 perpetual easement spaces in the very bottom of the Lot 2, and a lot of my tenants park in Lot 2 with paid parking, and a lot of the business invitees come in. So I'd like to know, I know this is not your purview, but I'd like, again, the city to address where are all these people going to park when all this construction is going on. Finally, I'm in favor of downtown housing. I think it will revitalize State Street. There should be some concern for adjoining property owners as the process goes forward, particularly with parking. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, I don't have any other speaker slips for in-person public comment. I will move on to virtual participation, which we do not have anyone online with us at this time, but I will acknowledge that we received written correspondence from Cheryl Rawlings and give it back to you.
All right. Thank you. All right. To the commission for questions.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Jordan.
Yes, I have a question about.
Oh, Commissioner Drury, we'll go to you right after Commissioner Jordan beat you to
you got
it.
me. Okay.
Just a couple of quick questions. The Gensler sheet number 16 shows cars on State Street. Is this plan based on the assumption that State Street will be open to automotive traffic?
It is not. It is not necessarily so, no.
Height, mass, bulk, and scale are design issues this commission routinely reviews, and I'm trying to understand what's generating the height. The updated design for the income-restricted blocks shows a floor-to-floor height of 9 feet, 1.5 inches, reduced from the initial 10 feet. But I couldn't find floor-to-floor heights for the multifamily residential block. What are those?
The floor-to-floor heights do vary from the multifamily block because of the way it is built over the existing parking structure. So they do vary slightly. They are typical market rate. They're just slightly higher than the affordable, but they do vary from floor to floor.
And what, can you give us a couple examples or range of the higher ones or lower ones?
They're going to be in the floor-to-floor 9'6" to 10'6" to 11-foot range.
Another question deals with the landscaping. In terms of this project, is the landscaping and the open space considered under commercial or residential criteria? I believe that's a question that Commissioner McClure had raised.
Mm. So do we know?
We got attorneys here.
We got everyone here. Someone's got to know.
Chair, Commissioners, I'm Patsy Price. I'm the contract case planner for this project, not an attorney. The landscape requirements that will apply to the multifamily will be under the AUD guidelines. So there's a couple different ways for projects to comply under the average unit density incentive program. Typically, applicants choose providing 15% of the net lot area as common or shared open space within the development.
Okay, what I'm interested in is, my understanding is under commercial landscapes, they must be 100% drought tolerant, whereas residential, you can have a mixture of drought and high water. So under the AUD, would it be mixed, or would it be the?
It would be mixed.
It would be mixed. Okay, thank you. That's my questions.
All right, great. Commissioner Drury.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Could you tell me, could anybody tell me the justification for the acquisition of Lot 2? Is it because there's less use nowadays because of the closure of Nordstrom? What is the justification? Anybody?
Thanks.
Sure. Yep. Great. Thank you.
Hi, Dan Hinchke, Assistant City Attorney. I'm working on this project for the City Attorney's Office. In terms of the why use Lot 2, it was, Lot 2 is part of the Paseo Nuevo development. It is restricted by parking restrictions, basically for Paseo Nuevo. And so when this went to City Council, one of the things that the City Council did is it adopted a resolution exempting Lot 2 from the Surplus Land Act in order to allow the city to make it part of the development project. And the reason they needed to have a lot that was available potentially for the development that was part of Paseo Nuevo as a whole, so that the affordable units could be part of the same development project as the market rate units. And so it was part of the development plan, and why Lot 2 is because it was part of Paseo Nuevo.
So you don't determine any lack of parking because of the acquisition? I mean,
no, this was not based upon Lot 2 is underutilized, therefore we're using Lot 2. It was a land that is available. We will be losing some parking spaces at Lot 2, as the applicant pointed out. One thing I wanted to mention is that all of the existing parking restrictions and covenants for others, like the speaker who spoke, those will all be preserved as part of the development.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
Yep, thank you. All right. Other questions? Commissioner Ensberg.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for presentation. So this is just a very basic question. Is there, I think I know the answer, but is there a specific plan for the whole Paseo Nuevo, since there are several? We have the Nordstrom's part, and I'm unclear about who exactly is the developer for that and what's going on with that. And then there's Shop Off, right? And then there's AB, and then there's this, well, these are all the players, the city. Okay. So what I'm trying to understand is, it's kind of reminding me of La Cumbra, where you have multiple developers and you're trying to figure out, well, what's going to go on with the whole thing. So is there, and we're seeing that now because we're looking at the Macy's part, but is there a specific plan for the whole thing?
There is not a specific plan for the whole thing in the context that you would normally understand it as a planning document. There is an existing development there that it will be preserved in part and redeveloped in part. What the development and disposition will do will essentially establish the land uses that will be continued within the Paseo Nuevo as a whole. Multifamily on one end, the inline shops, which would remain commercial, and then the housing on Lot 2. Nordstrom is not a part of this proposal at all. They are a separate leaseholder, and they have separate entitlements that run for the next 40 years with regard to their leasehold interests. So they're essentially in the same position as AB, is that they control the development interest there, and the city does not.
Okay. Also, in that regard, the land transfer to the developer that you were talking about, is that for, are we talking about just this piece that is the land underneath the Macy's part? Is that what we're talking about right now, or is it the land transfer of everything to whoever it is?
In order to accomplish the development of the redevelopment, the entire land, all of the land underneath the Paseo Nuevo would be transferred. There would be reservations back for things like public parking and those kinds of things. That would all be laid out in the development and disposition agreement. So that's the current contemplation, is that all of the land will be transferred. Basically, at the very end of the process, once everything is placed, we're ready to go forward, and it will be built, then the land would be transferred so that it could happen.
Okay.
Kelly, do you want to add anything?
Thank you. Yeah, as we're trying to get I know everybody's trying to get their head around it, and I understand that, so we're just trying to ask questions to get more clarity. The other thing I was wanting to ask is, so are all these things, the retail, the allocation of the retail, and then you just spoke about Nordstrom's as being this different thing. I'm assuming that's going to be housing maybe, or maybe we don't know yet. We don't know yet. Okay, so, but
we don't have an application
are those
for
things
Nordstrom.
kind of more or less fixed, like the retail is going to be retail, and we're not looking to study that for any other possible better use or anything like that?
As the applicant indicated,
Not necessarily just for the Macy's, but the other retail in the mall.
let me try and answer the question.
Yeah.
With respect to the Paseo Nuevo, which was the yellow properties that they showed that they own, those would, other than the multifamily, the commercial would remain the same. As the applicant has indicated, they intend to upgrade the commercial, but that's not part of this specific plan because they have the ability and the right to do that through the normal process, right? If they wanted to reconstruct something, they'd have to go through the land use process. That's not part of what we're talking about here. But if they wanted to change out some of the uses, they would go through the normal city process to change out those uses. There's no plan to replace commercial, for example, with residential at this time. It's not part of this proposal.
So, and actually, I had a question tied onto that. That doesn't preclude it from potentially happening as later someone coming or them. Oh, and actually, I guess that's the question is who owns the land at the end of this whole thing? This is all built out, the new multifamily. Who owns the yellow?
AB would own all of the yellow, and it would be dealt with in the future as any other private development would happen in the future.
So like Nordstrom's is now, so AB would be with the yellow as they have an option for the land.
Nordstrom's in the same, Nordstrom does not own the land under Nordstrom's.
Oh, yeah.
Nordstrom's has a leasehold that kind of goes almost down to the ground, but not quite, because it starts right above the parking lot.
Okay.
Okay. So they really have an airspace if you will, a condominium lease,
Gotcha.
airspace lease.
Okay.
Okay.
And then, so then, at the end of the day, AB, if this all gets done, AB will own the land and the 1 or 2 stories of retail and be able to do anything future for it.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, so then thank you very much. And then one other, my last question for right now anyway, is about the workforce housing over by the Canary. Has there been any consideration for both buildings to be developed with market rate and affordable in them, integrated, to get better value for the units on the upper levels and more aesthetics actually, for that, that building over by the Canary? So both buildings would be, sort of get the same attention, and then, you would have these, normally you put the more expensive units at the top, and then, work down the building. So I'm just curious about that.
Absolutely. I think the concern is, unfortunately, the financing mechanisms within the state of California for affordable housing. So in order to qualify for tax credit financing for those affordable units, it has to be a purely affordable building. So you cannot mix income levels, and it's a very specified income level mix and bedroom types, and so that's where the housing authority coming in and being a partner. The backup alternative is that AB and the team could just develop 12 to 23, affordable units within the Macy's site and not do the other, lot 2. They have proposed it because it provides such an added value in terms of the extra number of affordable units for the city and for our population. But under density bonus, they could simply do 12 to 23 units mixed in with the Macy's project and get the allowance for the height exemption.
And thank you for that. And would it be, would that work happen concurrently? Everything happens all together?
That's still what we're working out, and that would be part of the conditions of the disposition and development agreement, is the timing and making sure, because they do have to happen at, in sort of simultaneous fashion.
Thank you. Okay, those are all my questions. Thank you very much.
All right. Yeah, because when was the last time something that wasn't affordable that got tied to something else that was a problem? That was yesterday, sir. City Council. Okay.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
As fascinating as all this is, it's very complicated real estate land use question.
Yes.
Which is not at all our purview. I think it would be better if we spent our time talking about the architecture and what we think about the buildings, and getting that. It's a very large project. We'll spend all of our time talking about things that don't have anything to do with what we're here to do, and not have enough time to talk about the architecture. So I'm wondering if we can't steer ourselves to talk about the buildings.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think that first, at least at a basic level, the understanding is helpful. So we're also appreciative of what I'm thinking. Some of the reasons for why they are designing one way versus another can also be understood as it, but without taking too much time on it. Okay, so let's. Any other questions?
Mr. Chair?
Yeah, Commissioner Butler. And I would say questions about the stuff we're wrapping up before we turn to the architecture.
So weirdly enough, I do have a couple design questions.
All right. Great. Shoot.
Thank you. Can you go to the Chapala and Ortega rendering? That right there. So that cornice or whatever, it looks like almost Monterey style there on the, yes. And is that carried through a little further down and up to the next? Okay. Can you talk about that?
We're looking at ways at breaking the massing. And again, these are our first studies in doing that. You see on occasion, and the idea is to make it similar to architecture in the historic core, a kind of a pergola or balcony that's a wood ornamental piece. Again, not heavily ornamental because it's up high enough in the air. We repeat that on the inside elevations as well for certain balconies. They would be private balconies, 2 units, but it's a way of breaking the mass of the corner.
And then could you go to the State and Ortega? So can you share the, I will use this word, inspiration for the top? Is that an elevator tower or what? Is there something, this building is going to be, it's in the heart of EPV. This is going to be scrutinized seriously. So can you help share where the inspiration for that particular approach to the top piece came from? Something like that?
The top piece is, I believe there were some image sheets that we had here that did not show in the earlier presentation. I had several image boards that came with this that aren't in the deck. Again, that is likely in the planning, a stairwell, and a need for a more solid mass is there, for example, but yeah, there were these 2 boards missing. I don't know where they went.
She's looking for it.
Okay, thanks.
Is there a file name on that, or?
City Nuevo HLC short.
Yeah.
I don't mean to take,
It doesn't look like they were uploaded to the Acela case.
but I
So you
think
can
what
identify.
your response
and
is
actually,
saying, we
so-
looked around town and we found something
Yes.
similar.
And actually,
we
here, why don't you show, we can
And we'll
hand it-
continue to do so as we develop the
Yeah.
design.
Do you have them there on your, yeah, we can.
Yeah, sure.
We can do a picture of a picture, copy of a copy.
Here, tell me how this works.
Yeah, let's see. All right, City TV, let's see how the camera does here.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks.
Good.
Second you touch an image, it'll disappear on you, so be careful.
Okay. All right. Yeah, if you can zoom in. There we go. So,
Thanks. Like I said.
yeah, I'm gonna get
There-
seats
there-
car-
Now we all need driving.
car sick, yeah. So it's looking like you've got Arlington. So I'm hovering. We haven't seen this tower for a while.
Surprise.
All right, and then some Canary.
Yep.
And then,
In short, at that area of the plan, an exit stair is going to be necessary. And it's not a primary elevators or core to the building, but something will happen there. We think we would play it up and celebrate it as a tower piece. Again, earliest sketches easily will evolve as we go.
And I know it's early in the,
Sure,
I
of
realize how
course, of
preliminary
course.
this is, but one
Sorry,
final
there's
question.
more.
Real quickly.
You can shoot that one too if
Oh,
you
yeah,
want.
yeah.
That's just
Yeah, yeah.
retail experience inspiration.
yeah,
Sorry.
I got
this
that one on,
microphone.
while you were talking.
So I noticed the
Yeah,
use
okay,
of,
Especially,
good.
so you're gonna do neon signs?
No, not like that. Thanks.
I also, I think I noticed there we go, awnings at the retail level, so street level or first level.
Yes.
I didn't see the use of awnings anywhere else through the residential portions of the proposed design. Was that intentional? Because these are going to be highly resolute.
If you look closely, you'll see to the left of that stair tower, there are awnings along many of the windows there. And again,
How did I miss that?
and there are quite a few along the inside and along the areas where we'll need them most. That is southeast facing. There would be more on the south proper or on the west proper where we're going to get more sun, but there will be.
Thank you, those are my questions.
No problem.
All right, other questions about the architecture, design, et cetera? So I had a question. Can we go to the site plan for the block? There we go. Oh, there we go. Yeah, and zoom in maybe on just the 2 blocks that are the Paseo Nuevo. Yeah. Okay, so one question I have is why not a Paseo that continues through and cuts to Ortega, like mid-block Ortega? In general, our Paseo plan and our goal in life in Santa Barbara is to get a block with 4 Paseos, which we still won't have.
With no transformer in it.
With no transformer in the center. So, so why not a paseo through there somehow?
We found that given the location of the multifamily and the market, which we're seeing in the 15 to 18,000 square foot range at Ortega and State, is that if you passed a paseo through there, you would sever the ability to service a market or grocer or the retail, as well as really destroying the best location for the multifamily lobby and curb cut or drop off at Ortega.
Okay. All right, and then I had one question about the height. So can you go to your street section on State Street? And I just want to confirm something, because I saw with the numbers that you gave of the height on your spreadsheet you had, or your graph grid, you had I believe you had the Balboa building on there as a number, and I thought that your number was in total was taller. It was like 75 feet versus 66 or something for the Balboa. But then your street section diagram, I just want to confirm, can you zoom into the Balboa building and that area there? And then, so what you're saying is it's not taller than Balboa building because it's downhill.
Just a little bit of slope down, yes. And we've used the standards of measurement for height from the average of the entire site for our height that we've listed. That's why you see that one number, and then you see here what its height is parallel to Balboa.
So where is what is the 75-foot number then? Like, so is it basically your end corner at the top from there? Okay.
Correct.
Okay. And then, so then from the other end of it might be like 66, which is keeping it to being about
Correct. Yes, the site slopes in both directions.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Just want to make sure I'm understanding how the height issues are. All right. Any other questions? All right. Okay. So let's roll into comments.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Commissioner Jordan.
I have two comments. One's very short, one's much longer. The short one is, I really appreciated the presentation about the disposition and development agreement. This is a complex project, and I think the city will need to explain over and over and over again. But I very much appreciated that explanation. That's the short one. The longer one, in fact, deals with the architectural issues. And I want to start off by saying that people often think that historic preservation is about looking in the rearview mirror, that it's about trying to hold on to the past. And that's not right. That's flawed. Historic preservation in Santa Barbara has been an important part of how this community manages change, at least until Sacramento has started to say we don't have the right to do that. So as I review this vision of Paseo Nuevo, and I try to look ahead, try to imagine how Santa Barbara would look in 10 or 12 years from now, when there's no longer a housing crisis, when we're all riding bicycles or taking buses using public transit, and the downtown parking lots have all been redeveloped into 7 or 8 story housing blocks. Looking ahead rather than in the rearview mirror, I know what I don't want to see. I don't want to see a city in which people walk down the street and say, that's a nice building, I'd like to live there. But that one is obviously one of the barracks for employees of the service industry. Inevitably, architectural design codes or stamps buildings. Design reveals class, wealth, privilege. But I also recognize that there is hierarchy in urban and architectural form, and that it can be done well. And I fear that a series of 6 or 7 story buildings, which are all similar in height, mass, bulk, and scale, some of which are market oriented, and some of which are defined by income levels, will be read as rich and poor based on their architectural treatments. So architectural design is important, and I hope to see a refined architectural design in the next iteration that avoids coding one building as barracks for workers and one building as market rate residential. That's my comment.
I totally agree with that.
And I think it can be done. I mean, this is on the way, but it's on my mind, it'll come up in
Commissioner
future
Dre.
iterations.
Other comments? Yep, Commissioner Butler?
I would support that strongly, and actually, I have a couple of design comments that relate to that. So this looks like the prominent premier unit, and the other unit looks like it could be out at UCSB. I'm being a little harsh. As a UCSB alum, okay, so should have said that first. Let me commend you all, first of all, for your bravery on taking on this project. Because it's really exciting to see that we're taking a forward step and recognizing how much participation, involvement, et cetera, this is going to require. So I encourage you. But I really do feel that the design, because of its location and its structure and its utility, really needs some soul. It needs some presence, whether it's, I'll call it poetry because we use that word a lot, but whether it's through color or stonework or something else, so that, and I support sort of the previous comments, that when we don't walk by to go, oh yeah, that's an apartment building. It's an apartment building, but maybe not, okay? So given its location, given its status, its key, it's gonna set precedent. This will set precedent for so much else to follow. So we have to get this right. That's really my emphasis. Again, I commend you for this is wonderful work, and I think it's a good start, I really do. I commend your bravery. Let's look at making this design scream out. Let's make the design consistent through both units, so it's, there's not this bifurcation. Thank you.
All right. Commissioner Lenvick?
Yeah, we're talking about the affordable building, and we have in your submittal the reimagined Paseo Nuevo rendered from Chapala Street drawing. Is that the one that's being proposed to us?
Could you? You had it before.
No.
That one. Yep. Go back.
That was,
Yeah, that's it.
This is the lot two, correct?
that's what's being proposed next to the.
All right,
Canary.
the the reimagined one, to me, appears to be lower. Could be wrong. Height-wise.
Correct.
It appears that the proportions or the scale of the reimagined one are better. You don't have that.
I believe this is the higher and not the reimagined one. You should have that. Yeah.
So, and I lost it on my machine here, so. Yeah, so the proportions of that elevation. at
So
least-
I just want to get clear. This is what is being proposed.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes, correct.
For real.
We're good
Okay.
there.
Yes.
We're good there.
Okay.
And so I say
Yeah,
to myself.
sure. Hold on one second.
Sorry,
Let's
Mr.
get
Len, or Commissioner
clarity here.
Lenvick. Just to be clear, there has not been a tremendous amount of work done on the affordable design yet. And that is by design, because we want to make sure and work clearly with the partner that AB would bring on board to develop. And that was a comment from the Housing Authority Board as well. We have a specific value in making sure when we build workforce housing, when we build affordable units, people are proud to live in them, and we're proud of the design. And that was, the Housing Authority will be brought along, their team will come into the process. They will do their own sort of magic around design, similar to some of the other projects they've designed around town. These were more for, this is what it could look like, this is how it might look on the site, but I will just, to the
Yeah,
architect
so
team.
in some ways, they're a placeholder.
It's a
for
placeholder to
the
show, and also to
size.
see massing, and we did ask to have it step down a bit so that the view from the Canary roof deck was not blocked, and so that was where the reimagined came in. So I want to just provide
Yeah.
that context
Okay, great.
for the board. Thank you.
So,
Commissioner Lenvick.
we see a little corner of the Canary there, and I don't know that the Canary is any more downscale, dollar-wise, than any other hotel in Santa Barbara, and I don't think it's any more downscale than than this image we see for the affordable housing. You know, I don't have a problem with a large building being simple and not having a lot of ins and outs and so on and so forth. I think if we can landscape it and we would make sure we got human scale on the ground floor, those things are important. And I don't have a problem with this building in the direction it's going in. We don't see the east elevation, and that's the problem. We see the south elevation and a little bit of the west elevation, where you've got a lot of ins and outs. On the main building, the main hotel building, there's a lot of ins and outs on the third, fourth floor, or whatever, on Ortega Street. I think it looks quite good. I don't have.
Sorry, I want to make sure we're looking at your residential. Not,
I'm talking about the main hotel.
no, main residential.
No, it's just residential. Pardon me. Pardon
We
me.
don't know they're going to
Canary.
convert it yet.
Yeah,
Okay.
but
So that view or the other one with the other corner of Chapala?
yeah.
Or you? Or
But if you
both?
look at this, if you look at the site plan, the building plan, you see a lot of, you know, a lot of in.
Or the aerial?
Yeah, there, you see that the Ortega Street elevation has got a lot of recessed areas back in. There's a lot of relief on that elevation. I don't know that putting a wooden Monterey Revival style balcony on the corner does anything for you. I don't see it as an addition. I see it as a detraction, actually, to the architecture. Again, I don't have a problem with get that elevation. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah. So I think the middle portion, I think it's the Mirador. Actually.
Yeah, Mirador. Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't have a
And then
problem
the
not
Monterey
having that Mirador there. It's you know, I think you can find another way to maybe break up the height of that corner, but you know, this is downtown Santa Barbara, the future of downtown Santa Barbara, and it's going to be, you know, 4, 5, 6-story buildings at the State Street area, and we don't have a problem with. I don't have a problem with that personally. I think there's relatively good architecture so far shown in the housing project, and I don't like that tower with the wow at the top. I don't think we need that. But those are refinements, and I don't have a problem with.
Came from Macy's at La Cumbre.
Yeah, whatever.
Ooh,
That was a long time ago.
Ouch.
I don't have a problem with the direction this is going, you know.
Through the chair to Commissioner Lenvik, will you speak into your microphone just so we can hear you a little better?
I don't think we've ever.
It was nothing important I said, so it's just a big deal. I apologize, staff. I'm through.
He doesn't have a problem.
You want me to repeat all that?
All right.
No.
Yep. Commissioner Lodge.
It looks as if I'm the only one who's very troubled by this design. I want to know what happened to the 60-foot height limit that's in our charter. This is 75 feet, a block long. It is huge. It is totally, and one of the findings this board has to make is that it relates to size, bulk, and scale. There's no way that I could approve this. This is going to add, and as has been said, this is the future of downtown. For me, this is not the future I want to see for downtown. And I don't understand why the 60-foot height limit is being ignored. It is just out of scale and inappropriate to Santa Barbara.
So, because this was the elephant that I was going to bring up in the room, as a discussion question as well, why don't we go a little more into the how it can break the 60-foot and what are the other things it can do.
Okay.
Because our boss said it could.
Yeah.
The other things that it can do. Okay, so I'll take aim at the elephant. The applicant, AB, is using the state density bonus law, which includes not only density bonuses, but also waiver of development standards as concessions that need to be made for the provision of affordable housing. What they've said is that as their concession, they need a waiver of the height limit in order to build the project, and that the height that they have is necessary in order to provide the units that they have, including the affordable units. So, the state density bonus law preempts the city's charter. It's a legal matter. The city attorney's office has already opined on that, and the council understands that with regard to the charter height limit, we have to allow them to go the height that they've requested because of the affordable units that they're providing. So that's the legal answer to the question.
Okay.
So, Mr. Chair,
Yeah, Commissioner Drury.
so we're just, basically our hands are tied in terms of approving this thing. I mean, I would have, if we all unanimously said we don't approve of the 60-foot height limit, of a 75-foot height limit, it wouldn't matter.
The 75-foot height limit is not a design consideration that is before this body because it is preempted by state law. Your other design comments can be incorporated as you would normally do in your concept review. But that is one, that's a development standard that by state law can be preempted under the state density bonus law that the applicant is going under.
And there might be 9 new people here if we all voted no.
Okay, so to play a devil's advocate a little more on this, so one thing that when I was thinking about this, it occurred to me was it seems right for all things that normally come before HLC, as in a property owner with a development. In this case, the one tweak on that is that, and I guess this is a question, is the difference that right now the property owner is the city, and we're trying to make a deal with the leasee and to make this their property, and so so that technically while the deal isn't made yet, and there's benefits on both sides to get a deal made, this is maybe almost the only land in the entire city where the city actually has control over it that the state is not going to override.
That's a really good question, and I appreciate the way that you put that. Although there's a kind of, I think, a potentially fundamental mischaracterization of the ownership interests in the underlying your question. Yes, the city owns the ground lease. The ground. It owns the fee. But it doesn't own the development rights. It doesn't own the possessory interest. It doesn't own the development interest because that's all with AB.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
And yes, we could insist that they abide by the lease. But that means nothing's going to happen for 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
Or you get a different project that is potentially uneconomic. What this is predicated on is that the existing configuration of the mall is an uneconomic property. And so, yes, there are some considerations that we have to give, but from a legal standpoint, what I look at is who owns, for the next 40 years, if you will, the development interest in the land, and that's AB. So that's why AB can come in and use the density bonus law to accomplish this program.
Okay, that makes sense. I wanted to make sure that all the tough questions are asked. Yeah. Commissioner Miller, yeah.
May I ask a question, please? So, you don't have to get up. So, what options did AB, the developer, present to the city at the point when the city said, you're exceeding the 60-foot height limit, and AB said, we have to, or it's non-financial for us? Did AB come back and say, well, we could make the units smaller and bring this rooftop, the height limit down, or what options did AB as developer offer the city to address the height limit?
I will let the
issue?
city administrator answer that politically charged question.
I will say that this is, again, it goes back to the financial components of the project. So AB has been very transparent in sharing with us their pro forma for the development. We have hired independent financial consultants hired by the city to review all of those assumptions, financial assumptions, rent assumptions, retail leasing assumptions, and really looking at the return on investment that would come from this project. And that's really where this request comes from. It is purely AB trying to make a return on their investment of the loan that was defaulted on. And so if you had saw the council presentation that we did, even with this and the city giving the land to the developer and potentially providing some property tax subvention for the next 30 years from the city's property taxes on the site, it still makes around a 6% return. And the typical return on investment for private development projects is somewhere between 8 and 10%. So just by way, they're still making well below a market return. Peter Lewis also, who developed Solterra, we had him take a look at the pro forma as well. And you may have heard his sort of quipping, he doesn't get out of bed for less than 10%. So those are just in terms of return on investment. And so just by way of context, I just wanted to share that in terms this, as you saw on the screen, we've been going back and forth with AB for 3 years to try to find a project configuration that really makes financial sense and that we thought also could fit in with and be seen as a project that is beneficial to the downtown and to the city.
Thank you for answering my
Great.
highly political question.
Mr. Chair.
Vice Chair Uli.
I wanted to respond to Commissioner Lodge's concern because I share the same concern. But given the fact, I think, that the overall benefit to the city and to the neighborhood and to revitalization of downtown, because there are people there doing the shopping and the buying and the visiting and the drinking and the whatever. Seems to me that we could make our findings about size, bulk, and scale because of that broader community benefit. Even though it's a huge building, I have a real problem with that. But I can see clear of my reservation because of the broader community benefit.
All right, I'm going to take a shot at at a comment because it's tied to the earlier comments and it's tied to a lot of the other discussion too. Could you go to the aerial, and it's about specifically about the mass bulk scale size question, and also still making it viable as a project without losing units or things like that. Is there an actual? Maybe I just imagined.
the aerial.
There we go.
That one.
Perfect.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. Can you zoom into the main building there? Okay. So my thought on it is a couple thoughts. One is just the question of where does Santa Barbara want to go, at least as an ideal. Where does we want the city to be? And I think when you look around this room and you can see drawings of some pretty big buildings. Not this big of buildings, but pretty big buildings as the vision for where they were originally the vision for where Santa Barbara was wanting to go. And the Balboa building is very interesting because it's built right before the earthquake. And actually the 3 sets of drawings before leading up to it, you see it keeps getting a story added and getting a little bit more Mediterranean. And it used to have a little parapet tile roof around it as well that got removed in the 50s or 60s. And it was telling the story in my mind, and I've used that as an example, of where Santa Barbara, at least a certain amount of it, was trying to go, with taller, larger, and more Mediterranean. It was sort of, because it was starting in the early 20s, like 2021 was when they first started designing it, Sewell Murphy Hastings. So I think it's a very interesting tell as to at least a number of architects and a number of development of where it was trying to go. And then in combination with that was also El Paseo as sort of an early, as an early starting block for how to do paseos and how to do inner block Santa Barbara. And so when I think about where we want to go as Santa Barbara, dealing with the state is another whole issue. But I do think there's a certain height at which, and I think Paris sort of maxes out at that, like 5-story with the 6th and the mansard roof, where after that, you really start to feel like a big city in a disconnected way, because that's where people start to look like ants from above. And it's not just a matter of the size of it, because Paris has the giant boulevards, which make an outdoor room with a very tall height, which is very comfortable. We have tighter streets. It's not the big boulevards. But one of the concerns I have is just for what the character of the city and the experience of it is, both from up above and from down below. Now, down below, we have big trees that block most of our apparent heights and how we feel about buildings, and we're too close to actually see how big they are in most vantage points. So I can understand a fairly tall building, but at a certain point, we start to get to our buildings to be Le Corbusier's idea of Paris, where you have a tower and large separations, and it starts to feel like a really big city. Now, I realize that at certain points we can't control that with the state, but for those projects that we do and can have influence over, I think that it's best to see if there's other ways of doing things that still get your same density in the same footprint that might be a little more sensitive to the height and come down. And as my architect brain starts looking at everything, and you always start trying to figure things out as a puzzle, you start looking for where places to drop, and I would say, and what places to move that space to, not just drop it. But I would say that some of the apparent heights of both on Chapala and State Street are being done because you're reinforcing the corner very strongly. You're stepping back after the first 2 stories a little bit. And normally I don't encourage wedding caking things back, but in certain circumstances I do think it's appropriate. And I think that if the apparent height, the way it feels from Chapala and Ortega and State, could be lessened with your corners dropping, with certain things stepping back, maybe even facing the mountains and the Riviera more, maybe even hiding a whole story in the roof, or like doing a mansard. I know it's low pitch, but you can probably find clever ways of doing that. And getting the mass taller on the inner block, where you'll never experience it and never see it because you're in the Paseo and you don't read how tall the buildings are. That would at least be a good general direction for making this feel like a 6-story instead of a 7-story, or a 5 and 6-story instead of a 7-story, even though it might actually be 7 stories in the hidden parts and the back parts. So I think that seeing this, you have a lot of open space. You have forms that are similar to the Libero building, Margaret Baylor building, the hotel, Santa Barbara Hotel, other things that have somewhat decent height that still need light and courtyards and air. But I think there could be clever ways to kind of get more out of the same same massing, which is, I'm assuming, will translate for the most part into equal costs. But with just a little bit different of articulation. And then the other point I wanted to really harp on is finding some way of getting a Paseo through there. El Paseo does it, going through buildings. There's other ways of doing it. I'm sure there's lobby. Yeah, go through the lobby, experience a cool lobby or whatever. Come up with a clever idea. But I think it absolutely needs a Paseo from somewhere near the center through the block. What's it called? What's the other great one that goes through the buildings? San Marcos, the San Marcos building, Arlington.
Right there.
So I think there's tons of precedent. It doesn't take that much square footage, and I think that's going to be really essential, is getting a Paseo from Ortega through as connection, as part of it.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah. So let's go to Commissioner Ensberg and then Commissioner Doran.
Thank you. That was brilliantly put. I really appreciate that, Chair Grumbine. I agree with everything that you have said. I just have a few things I want to add to this. And first of all, I just want to thank you for being here and for having this discussion. This is so important. This is our role to help, form, in the El Pueblo Viejo. This is such the important part of our town. So I really appreciate the early collaboration, and, we all want success, and we all want to work toward finding something that's going to work, as the chair just put so well. We want a vibrant, beautiful project, and we want housing, and we want it all to be positive and effective for everyone, including everyone. So thank you, and I hope for ongoing, that we continue to collaborate all the way till the end. And it's our desire to help with that. I wanted to also say that I do really appreciate a lot of the details that you have put on here. This is El Pueblo Viejo. This is a giant building, as we have said. So it really, to me, it's going to have, and it has 3 street frontages, Chapala, Ortega, and State Street. So it has to embrace all of those streets. And, but I wanted to just say, I really appreciate the miradors. I know Commissioner Lenvick doesn't. I think they're really great. I would even have more of them, and I like how you've put these paired arched column things in different places. So I think it's going to have a special design attitude and detail. This building is big, and it's going to have to be really, really special. I wanted to say, too, that one of the problems with the existing building is that Ortega Street. It just got its back. It doesn't do anything for Ortega Street. So I 100% appreciate the comment about the Paseo coming through and somehow, engaging and making Ortega Street better. I also, and that was why I was asking earlier about this whole retail thing, because I would really love to see, maybe even an arcade along there or small boutique shops. And I agree with you about the, smaller boutique shops. I do question the grocery store, because there is a grocery store, a large grocery store already 1 block away at Ralph's, right up the.
Just packed all the time.
Yeah, right. But you can have more boutique, grocery for this kind of thing. So anyway, it's just a thought. So more boutique shops around. And then, of course, someone mentioned about these illustrations that we're always inspired by here in the room with the arcade. So if it could have an arcade, that could be a very cool thing, if that would be possible. I absolutely support the Paseo. I think that is really, really important, and the other thing I wanted to also say, that to be very careful as we're talking about this, that it does not become an exclusive gated community, so that we allow the public to come through there, and recognizing, the obvious need for privacy and security and safety and all that, but that this is not a little closed-off area, that it is embraces and part of the community. Just a few more things, if you will indulge me. Could we look at the elevations? I would like to also say, I hope that our future will be a variety, not that this is setting precedents and now we're going to have, 60, 75 feet everywhere. I am hoping very much that we will develop with a lot of variety through our town. And I think that we can give comment, and that is why we're here, to give comment. It doesn't mean that certain state laws don't apply and that they can't be used, but we are trying to express more from the community, what the community would like. I also want to say that, we do have a very big issue with respect to market rate versus affordable. We need the affordable, and the affordable is the hard one. The market rate's really easy. So I know that's not part of our thing. So I wanted to say with respect to this, and I think that Chair Grumbine got to it very well too, about talking about Paris and the mansard, and you've done a great job of having the roof at the top to help bring it down. So how can you, in reality or visually, it can be a sleight of hand, make it look lower? Make it look not as tall. And I was also thinking that The way it is now, it makes me feel like, okay, this is a big, tall apartment building because of the repetition. All the floors are the same and they just repeat up, up, up. I'm wondering about maybe thinking in terms of the upper floors to be a slightly different pattern. Like maybe they're more of a band going around or a different, like we see in many, many other cities, where it becomes something a little bit different at those top levels. And I think, oh yeah, here, so yeah, you have to meet your design, the units you need, yes. But like Chair Grumbine said, you know, hey, you guys are creative. You know how to do it. So anyway, with great gratitude and thanks for all the work, and it's really fantastic to have something to respond to. So we have that now, and we can, you know, give feedback, and thank you.
For the record, we debated the Miradors until wee hours of the morning. So.
And now you got two opposite answers.
Perfect. The debate goes on. Thanks.
A very quick general observation. I think Commissioner Lodge is 100% correct, and I believe the city attorney is 100% correct. And those are two incompatible positions. And it's what this commission will be dealing with increasingly going forward in the future. Because she's right and he's right.
All right. But Commissioner Lenvig's wrong.
Nobody heard him, so.
That's right. So I want to throw one more piece into this because it was tied to a thought for on the poetry soul comment, which is I know that our lawyers love us telling everyone to add more poetry and soul because it's such a great way of explaining exactly what to do. I think this is a good, while a little bit unfair because this elevation, it looks so much more massive than in 3 dimensions what the building actually is, but it's still a good point to start with. So I think we very rarely, I mean, if I've ever seen a project this large, at least in the last decade here that I've seen stuff, of this expanse, right? So one of the great challenges, there's sort of the pros and cons, and so one of the pros is, you know, when you're building a building just by yourself, you know, your neighbors, you get to complain about them because they're always in the wrong spot and the wrong way, and their balconies face yours and everything. And so, but when you have the whole thing, you don't actually have anyone to complain about. But the challenge is giving it, or the opportunity is giving it a character and doing something that you couldn't do if you just had one building, right? So if you just have one building and it's a shoebox like this, you're stuck. You've got the facade to work with, and then you've got to work around everything else. In this case, you actually are in an El Paseo, La Arcada kind of world where you actually have control of a huge site with multiple buildings for all intents and purposes. So that's good, and that's the challenge, right? So when you have that opportunity, if you can stick it, and you stick the landing with like a San Marcos or all these other great examples that we have, then it could be something very both unique and Santa Barbara and add something to the city that we don't have, right? And so I think it's an incredible opportunity, but it's also really important that it's done in an extremely good way as part of your challenge. And so I think that's going to be, with a building of this size or buildings of this size and this much, how might you add something that now they call it a Paseo Nuevo or something, something better than that, in a way that is a lot better than El Paseo is in the character of not El Paseo Nueva is currently, but El Paseo and La Arcada and all these very unique but different conditions. And so I think you have the opportunity here, and that would be incredible if you can get it to there. It's where it's another of the, you know, landmark level kind of designs, and that gets, you know, worked out because the city was able to do this really complex deal. So anyways, I wanted to add that, so no pressure.
Teeing off of that thought, because it is a very large building, the possibility of it reading as a collection of buildings and not one building, I think goes to your point, so that when you're looking down the street, it looks like there are 5 buildings there and not one huge one. So again, no pressure, but
So, okay, any other comments that anyone wants to add? Okay, great. Well, thank you both all very much. So I'll give a shot at summarizing.
All right.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you. More poetry.
Mr. Chair.
Good luck.
Thank you very much. Just
Oh yeah. Adam Paseo. That's right. That's true. Good luck.
thank you to everyone. Look forward to more continued dialogue.
Yes.
One comment that we, regarding the market rate building. I mean the affordable building. We have not seen the east elevation. And I think that is dangerous for us not to be aware that it's a very, very blank, brutal elevation.
Well, we don't know because we haven't seen it.
Well, we see it in perspective.
But they're going to add more poetry.
That was one of the checks. See, it was taking the
Even flipping the building would be a big
checks. Okay, so let me take a shot at summarizing the key points, and then this is obviously just a one-time pre-application. They'll, I'm sure, watch the review of this over and over and over, if they need to fall asleep at night, and then we can go from there in terms of so at least at the very high level what our thoughts are. Okay, so first, we want to thank the applicant and the whole team, the city, everyone for working on everyone for working on this project for a long time, and we're very glad to be able to see it and to provide comment. And we understand all of the great constraints and challenges that this site is, and opportunities that this site is. I read steel trellis. That was my notes from the previous. I was like, we got into the weeds quick.
We'll try not to confuse those.
Okay. So these are some additional main areas of study and main areas of comment are for one, for the workforce housing building to have an equal dignity and character that's appropriate for it. Within its site, and so for the detailing of it to continue to develop, and we can kind of leave it at that. Let's see. While the commission in general is concerned with the massing and size of the building and finding compatibility findings, we also understand both the need for housing and revitalization in this area and the great benefit that this project is going to be for the city, as well as understanding that with the state laws, the allowance that is made for this type of design. And that being said, we would also appreciate as the design moves forward to shift the massing in such a way that the apparent massing is, it feels more like a 5- and 6-story building as opposed to a 7-story building. Yeah. What's that? Yeah. So at least at the parent level, and so to that end, as especially looking at the corners and Chapala and State Street and the areas most visible from the public right of way, to look at how to reduce those apparent masses. And we won't get into any more detail because we talked about various ways. And the other main point was it needs additional design work for poetry, as we describe, and to look at how it might embody a new type of character or paseo along the lines of our great traditions of paseos and urban development. And then one more note was, in general, it should read more as a village or a collection of buildings as opposed to a single building or two type. So how that gets broken up and broken down is important. And a paseo to Ortega around mid-block. Another, somehow, some way. If Boston could dig a tunnel, we can do a paseo. And then another suggestion as well was to integrate. I guess we can tack this into the poetry as well. Integrate arcades and others public benefit portions of the project, design elements into it as you go forward with design, as have been studied in part of our tradition in terms of building arcades as walkways.
And can you add, particularly on Ortega?
Mm-hmm.
Although it does kind of wrap around too on
There's
Chapala
also
too.
parking and stuff at that structure I know that they're dealing with.
I
So
know.
We'll leave it general and let's let them integrate it in.
Yes.
It just reminds me, there was a drawing by Hastings that, I think it was Hastings, that shows Chapala in 1924, shows Chapala with an arcade and building out to the street, actually, even like over the sidewalk. Anyways, it's probably a total mess in terms of so it was for a city. Now air rights over a sidewalk or whatever the other things. But it's fine because this project is breaking all the rules anyways. So,
Why stop
so you
now?
might as well just grab a sidewalk and go up.
Why stop
Yeah,
now?
there you'll get your extra
Okay.
square footage and come down. Okay. Just try. It might work. Who knows?
Then you'd have another landowner.
Yeah. Okay, and I think those were all the major comments that I had and captured. Does anyone want to add anything to that?
Mr.
Or
Chair, I
fine,
just have a
Commissioner Gray?
question.
Yeah, Commissioner Gray.
Is there any possibility of having an in-progress review with this commission?
Oh, this is going to come back for
Well, I was
conceptual.
only
This
going
is a
to, I
one-time.
only seen one time.
It's a one-time review, and then when they're ready to start the whole process, then they'll come back with a real full application.
Then we can have other, as
Yeah, it's
needed.
only, this is just their.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Come here and have fun.
This is a shot over the bow.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, I know. But some people,
All this work, 3 years.
It's the
nothing.
free one. That's great.
It doesn't count.
It's just a warm-up.
Doesn't count towards the count. Okay.
people are confused about that though, because they see that one time and they think, oh my God, this is over?
Yeah.
Because they really enjoy this. Okay, I was just going to say, could we include something about just embracing the community and not becoming a, private gated
Okay, yeah,
exclusive?
and with that, so maybe the comment is with continued consideration for the flow of the public through the property. So.
Your paseo will solve that
Yeah,
problem.
exactly.
Yeah. Well, and that attitude,
But then they'll put a construction fence in front of it for 4 years.
And a transformer in the middle of it.
Transfer in the middle. I'm just kidding. Edison.
It's great transformer access.
Yeah. All right. Any other comments before we wrap up? All right.
It doesn't require a motion, does it?
No, it's just a.
It's just a free one.
All
Slap
right.
on the back and say good luck.
All right.
Thank you so much.
More poetry. Good luck. All right.
More
Thank you
poetry.
very much.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
All right.
Appreciate all your
Thank you.
comments.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
All right. All right. And so with that, we will adjourn early.
Okay.
Early.